It's all yours then.
Right.
Okay, well probably we're starting off the meeting and we'll start with the, we were to start with the presentation by William Davis, who are builders from Stoke-on-Trent, and we're looking to propose to the Parish Council and to anybody else who was interested their plans to build in Marchington, which is in Jack's Lane, well not all of it, but part of it. They wanted to put, I think 48 houses, or 44?
We don't know, do we?
No, between 44 and 48 houses on 4.2 acres, which is the land that runs between Jack's Lane and Bag Lane. Now, they won't come whilst they're being videoed, so I'm afraid we're not going to see them tonight, which is a pity, but they, of course, you can always drag the Parish Council to the video, but not the builders, apparently. So they're not going to come and give a presentation, which is a pity, but never mind.
I'm surprised, really, because if they only need to say that they don't wish to be filmed, and
thank you very much, but
we would have turned it off. It's a shame I wasn't asked.
Well,
to show you here.
I did actually ask him if he wished me to ask you, and he said no.
Interesting.
Right.
Anyway, Chairman, can I ask, have the builders actually sent a plan or anything for us to see nominally, or?
I think they were
No.
supposed to.
No.
They were suggesting they were.
We don't have an opportunity now.
So we don't have the opportunity to see. I'm presuming it's John Snow's field, is it, or is it not?
No, it's
No,
the
it's
one in Jack's Lane, which is Miss
Neighbourhood
Neighbourhood.
Trust, right.
So it's next door to Woodlands Views, if you like.
Right.
Yeah. So if you've come along for that, I'm quite apologetic for that, but obviously they did that last week and refused to come, so there we are.
Could it happen again if Steve's not going to video?
Yes, I spoke to them today,
Yes,
and they
it's
said
possible.
that they. I spoke to them and they were quite surprised that.
Can you talk through the chair, please?
Yeah, I spoke to them today and they were quite surprised that I'd be quite happy not to video. So yes.
You've spoken to them?
Yes, I did, and they're happy to come and do a presentation.
Okay.
That's it.
Well,
unfortunately, it's short notice for them to come tonight.
I see. Okay. How did you know about it then? How did you know that they were coming? Presumably from
It was
the
on the agenda.
on the agenda.
It was on the agenda online,
So you.
on the web parish council.
So the answer, I assume, is that providing this gentleman doesn't video us for a short period whilst they're giving that presentation, they will be allowed. They will come along. So we'll make that invitation to them, saying that they've already spoken to Mr. Langston on this subject.
Should they not speak to the Parish Council?
I would think it would be a much better idea, but as Mr. Langston seems to be telephoning directly and taking part of our job, then fair enough. You know, we can't do much about it, which is a pity. But there we go.
He has no authority.
I know he has no authority. He had no authority.
I think it's a free country, and I'm allowed to contact any company.
Well, we're not going to have an argument here about that. I'm just
clearly
pointing out.
identified which company it was, so anybody
Yeah,
is entitled to make that phone call.
Well, when somebody is making a deal between one party and another, your interference is unknown to us. So there we go. We'll move on. So that's the situation we have at the moment. Apologies for absence. Do we have any?
Jeannie.
Jeannie, that's it. Okay. Right.
Has everybody got agenda and minutes?
Yep.
Agendas. No agenda. No agenda. There's agenda on the front of the building.
Anyone else?
Right, so we'll move on to the minutes of the last meeting. Unless anybody here has come along would like to raise any particular factor before we, you know, if you want to get away. I don't want to keep you all here till the end of the meeting. If you want to say something specific. Anyone?
Yeah,
But you're entitled to stay, by the way, right through to the end of the meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I apologise. I'd like to go, if you don't mind. I just came to see what was happening with
The building.
the building.
Yes, I regret that this particular situation has arisen, but there we are. But thank you for coming along and seeing us. Thank you.
Can I ask if the development in Station Road was on the agenda last time?
Station Road.
I think it'd be a conversion of the building.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, it was.
What was the parish council's opinion?
No comment.
They made no comment.
Because it's got permitted development rights.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's outside the...
It's passed.
Yeah, but it's the government have brought in new legislation, and basically any steel frame building that is not, well, that has been agricultural use, no longer in agricultural use, can be converted into a property.
Thank
It's
you.
permitted development rights. So the parish council can't really have a say because it's granted, really.
Yes, plus the fact that unfortunately this is happening with quite a number of other situations that have come about over the last 6 months in various other parts. And I've had a word with the SBC as well as Robert, and it's the same reply.
Thank you.
Excuse us, we're also going because we came also because we wanted to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right, Jackson.
And
And
to
just,
find out some
Yeah.
information, but obviously that's not going to happen.
No.
Is this always going to happen when there's...
Well, so long as it's keeping on video, isn't it?
No, it won't, as long as the parish council communicate with me and ask, or just put it past me. I can make a statement now that if anybody doesn't want to be filmed, any of these presentations, quite happy to turn the camera off. But for the parish council meeting, I will be recording.
Could I, is it my place to ask why this is happening?
of course it is.
We agree.
Why are you doing this?
What, recording the parish council?
Yes.
I'll go into a little bit more detail about that in the next parish magazine.
The parish magazine is not your mouthpiece.
I didn't say it was.
Become political.
It has, and I think it's disgraceful the parish magazine has become what it is, which is a political organ, which it should be just a community magazine.
I don't have a parish magazine to read about political issues.
Exactly.
Well, it's not. I hope it's not political because this parish council is non-political.
Well, I just hope that this issue is not actually going to affect us as Marchington of having a parish council.
Well, exactly. You're quite right to suggest that because
Because I think your role is really important in the village because you support the village at a county level, whereas we don't have you, and we certainly appreciate your time that you give to the parish council.
Yeah.
And I must say, I'm not in agreement, Steve, with what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean,
I think have already gone.
my aim is to achieve a good quality parish council.
But I don't think that's the way to achieve it.
I don't believe we have one at the
All
moment.
I say is you've been in the village 12 years.
Yes, I'm a newcomer.
And you're not. You're an established member of the village. Nobody knew you until you started spouting out in the parish magazine. You've not made yourself known in the village.
I've been living in the village. I attend.
You've been living, existing, but not part of the village.
Surely you
I ring
really
church
should
bells,
be
I go to
finding
the
a
church.
position on the parish council if you feel so strongly that
Yes,
you
I
want
did
to
plan
have
on doing
input
that. Yes.
rather than going from out, trying to get from out in. Surely should be inside the parish council.
I think it would be highly likely that I would have got a place on the parish council if I hadn't have tried to
You don't know that though, do you?
hold the parish council to account.
You're holding this parish council to
account?
What are you talking about?
Just
Okay, you've made an accusation, you're holding us to account. What are you holding this parish council to account for?
what I'm saying is that the decisions that the parish council making should be done in the open.
They're published on the village notice board every month.
Yes, the decisions after the decision's been made, yes.
And
Meetings are open.
Well, yes.
Meetings
Anybody
are
can
always
come to this
open.
meeting.
No, they're not.
They are.
I think some people would disagree.
Well, I've been coming for 12 months and they've always been open.
Well, I've been here quite a few times.
Well, you haven't been here in the last 12 months, I can tell you that. I've never seen you.
I think parish council would probably disagree that I have been here.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear your comments because as we've been under virtually some kind of sort of verbal attack from this gentleman, and I am getting rather tired of trying to run a parish council, trying to find a pathway between various factions, and it's not made easy. So thanks for your support.
Just before, can we also say thank you to the parish council for sanctioning the work on repairing the stalls around the village, as we are walkers and dog owners, and we certainly appreciate the work that's been done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your thanks. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Right.
Right.
So,
Yeah, the purpose of my visit is number one to say obviously thanks very much for everything that you do for the village, because like these two ladies, I really appreciate everything I've obviously served, and during that time I fully appreciate the amount of diversity that was tried to be achieved, whether it's from Forestside or the woodlands. We've always tried to be all embracing as a parish council, and I really appreciate everything that's been done. My concern is that, like these two ladies, is that this has become a distraction for the parish council's legitimate activities, and particularly with respect to the community plan. I've got a concern, and that's really why I'm here tonight, to give you support to see whether or not things can be done to help you get that through, so that we are not vulnerable as a village to inappropriate applications and other things happening. And obviously restricting people coming here is part of that process. It doesn't allow people to view what's out there. So I am very concerned, Brian, that the normal, legitimate activity of the parish council is being distracted. So you have my support, Chairman.
thank you very much for that point. And we haven't asked you to come, so that's marvellous. Thank you very much.
I appreciate it, because as Brian has said, you know, it is a distraction. There are far more important things that we've been unable to talk about or openly discuss based on the fact that people won't come. Those that make it clear that won't come, and those that want to remain anonymous to say they don't.
Yes, and the difficulty we have in the future, of course, if we can't find enough councillors, if councillors all stand down because it's sort of ridiculous virtual Gestapo-style thing, as far as we're concerned, we're going to you're going to end up with one member of the ESBC telling you all what you're going to be doing in Marchington, because there will be no parish council if we can't get parish councillors to join. And parish councillors are people who can easily get put off by this kind of silliness, which is really, if Mr. Langston, you want to come to every meeting, you can come every time, no problem, right the through from start to finish. But please, this isn't the right way of going about things, and it's not very clever to put it on virtually in international media. That's not good for us, and it's not good for you. Got other things to do, I hope. Right, let's get on with the minutes of the meeting. Starting with the playground. I think we want to have a proposal for exit. Oh, sorry, this is a proposal for minutes.
I'll second.
So a proposal seconded Gordon and Mr. Parks. So Silver Lane, I think we got on playground. So we've got a report from you, I think, have we, Andrew?
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
What I've done is put things we need to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Andrew's report.
So we've got a tree that's...
No, this is... Oh, you put the tree as well. Yeah.
Tree debris and leaves due to high winds. Well,
yeah, inside the children's play area.
Yeah, I've taken photographs and I've just printed them off. I can find them for you. Now, Henry is quite happy to remove the existing branches. I understand through Henry that Brian Maxwell has asked if we could take the tree down. There are 3 trees very close together, and this is the one that's come out of the top. This is a horse chestnut, and that's a conifer, and it's a conifer that has lost the upper branches.
Yeah. Well, as it's partly broken, I can't see the point of keeping it.
If you want to pass that
yeah.
round, those photographs.
I wouldn't have thought for a pine tree.
Is it in the conservation area?
I'm sorry?
Is it in the conservation area?
Yeah. I don't think so. It's only saying no, so I think that's something here sometimes.
Yeah.
Those are
yeah, that's what I saw.
Yeah.
So,
basically, do you want Henry to take it down or just take away the branches?
I think that's a question around the table. What would you like?
Take it down, I think it's...
We just take the one or the three down.
No, just the one.
Just one.
Fir.
The fir tree
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
beginning,
Oh,
yes.
Can we plant another one? I don't necessarily in the same spot.
Well, I suppose trees are in, yes.
I suppose we should do. Good policy, if it takes something down.
Yeah.
Put a replacement there.
Not
Right, so
necessarily.
Not in the area.
Well, for every tree we toilet on, we plant three, so...
Oh, well, let's think about toilet rolls, okay. That's a good idea, whoever said that. Let's have it down and replant what you suggest. An oak.
Another fir. Like for like.
Another pine.
They grow too quick.
Sorry?
Fir trees grow rather quickly, don't they?
Yes, I was thinking perhaps a silver birch or something, but
What was the deciduous
What was
oak?
the tree? Is it a
Chestnut.
Horse chestnut.
Well, they're quite slow growing.
they're very slow as well. But are you saying that you want a fast growing one or a slow growing one?
I go for a deciduous tree,
Okay.
How quickly does a silver birch?
Why not decide what you put in its place when you take it out and look at the space?
That's a very good point.
And see what's most sensible to put there.
Is there any money available for trees?
The tree.
You could probably get one from
I wasn't thinking of a twig, I was thinking of
Oh,
A
Lord.
biggish one.
well,
Yeah.
It depends what size of tree you put in, because if you put in one of these trees with the root ball and whatever, in fact, you get an immediate effect, because actually if you planted maybe something 3 years old, within time, the 3-year-old will catch up with the other one, because obviously there's still moving the larger tree. It depends.
As you suggested, Andrew, should we get the tree down first? And then
Yeah. Could I make a suggestion?
Sure, of course.
Perhaps as Mrs. Grimley has to sit and look at it out of her window, perhaps she'd like to
Yes,
say what she would
Yeah.
like.
What sort of tree would you like?
I would like a conifer actually.
You'd like a
because-
conifer,
Yeah,
fast growing.
its leaves and looks pretty and the cones and things.
Do
Yeah.
you want it to change its colour with the season, or do you want just an evergreen?
Oh, well, the changing colours would be a bonus.
The trouble is they fall.
An evergreen would be whatever
Evergreen.
you
Okay.
choose.
All right. Well,
Thank
that's
you.
suggested around the table, so we'll stick with that.
Okay.
Okay. We've got. Yes, the new rota notice. There's new rota sent out to council which you've all had, I take it,
Yeah.
have you?
Yeah.
Yes, and we're all going to do our little duty and wander around each playground
And that's
check it
up
out.
till June, because obviously hopefully we'll be able to put more names on to
After the election time.
after the election,
Okay.
yeah.
Now we come to this business of, again, Mr. Langston, with your
Oh, before
footpath.
we get to
Sorry.
that one, sorry, can I just do this one? Oh no, that's all right, no, you're fine, sorry, that's another one.
another
No,
one,
yeah,
another
no,
tree.
that's
Okay.
fine.
So this is a meeting which took place, I think, between Mr. Langston, ourselves, and Paul Rochefort from Staffordshire County Council, who I understand wasn't actually from Staffordshire County Council, he was working for them from another company, is that right?
Yeah, I think it's a joint owned company, Staffordshire County Council and Capita.
Right. So, I was going to read a report, but because you went actually down to this, did you? No, you didn't go down to it, right.
No,
Oh, wait a minute,
Gordon
this is...
was there.
Gordon was there. Okay. So you're going to have to listen to my dulcet tones, I'm afraid. These are notes on meeting with Paul Rochefort, Mr. Langston, Councillor Whitehead, and Lindy here, our parish clerk. The above parties met on site at Silver Lane to discuss where exactly the footpath, as defined on the Staffordshire County Council footpaths department definitive map, was situated across the playing field. After looking at the map and the field, Mr. Rochefort decided that the footpath did need to be moved from its current position, which terminated at the Kissing Gate, which is obviously there at the moment, which was installed by the County Council, where the signpost public footpath is currently situated. However, as the footpath has been used across the field for some considerable number of years, it was agreed that there was a need for a permissive path. I'm not sure what a permissive path is, but there you go, they've got one. A permissive path to be retained at that point. It is also said that to move the kissing gate would be an expensive and totally unnecessary exercise, and suggested the best solution would be to insert another smaller gate at the point where the footpath should terminate closer to the main metal gate. That's the main metal gate which you drive through. And this is to be measured on a definitive map, but would be approximately opposite the end of the house known as Rushy Lee, which I think is yours, is it? Yes.
Correct.
And this would be carried out by Staffordshire County Council Footpath Department. The public footpath sign at the kissing gate would also be moved to this point, and a permissive path sign would be erected at the kissing gate. And this was all agreed at this meeting, which included Mr. Langston. The parish councillor are to be asked to agree to the lower branches and shoots to be removed from trees where the new gate will be inserted in the fence to enable users, residents, to be able to pass freely through the gate without getting caught up on the branches. So that ends that lesson.
Mr. Chairman, could I just intercede?
Sure.
I presume that goes along across land which is leased by the parish council, by ESBC, so I've got my ESBC hat on.
Right.
If you have a footpath, and I think it's 14 years to claim it and claim it as a public footpath, and nobody has done that, and I don't know how long that's been going on for. By putting a permissive path there, I think that would be a good idea, but I think you need to clear that with ESBC, and it may be that once a year you have to close that access off, because clearly that is an asset of the Borough Council, and if then you put another footpath through across that land, you, in future years,
it becomes
you create a problem. So I think you maybe need to formalise what you're doing with the
Linda can tell you that path was used more than 14 years ago when the school was there.
No, yeah, but what I'm saying, but you have to document it and prove that. All I'm saying is it's going to become a permissive path. I think that you need to engage with the Borough Council and tell them what you're going to do, and it may be necessary once a year to close that off to retain your right, or the Borough Council's right, on the rights on behalf of the Borough Council, that field doesn't interfere with any value of that land for future days. But if somebody wants to go along the 14-year route and claim it's a public footpath, that's another matter.
Who would do that?
Mr. Chairman,
who would do that?
There's a lady at the back who'd like to say something on
Yes, of course.
Sorry, that's not right for a permissive path. I think I'm right in saying that if you've got a path that, well, not a path as such, but if people have been using something as a right of way across a field for 20 years, then it can become a public footpath because they've got the evidence to say that it's been used continually for 20 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if it's a permissive path that's been granted, then I don't believe that that's the same. You don't necessarily then have to close it off then in the once a year.
From my experience across in Drayton Clay, we have people, there is a gate at the rear of the property, which was there from when it was a school,
yes.
And people walk from that housing estate across the village hall car park, and once a year we have to close that off to prevent that becoming a footpath. And it may be that you have to close that. Right. But all I'm saying is they lease that ground off the Borough Council. It's a Borough Council asset, and therefore they've got to talk to the Borough Council, because in the long term what you could end up doing is devaluing that asset for future use. So therefore they've got to engage firstly with the Borough Council to tell them what they're going to do and why they're doing it and what's gone on, and secondly just check out that point. You might be absolutely right, but as far as my experience of permissive path, we have to close it off once a year.
No, okay.
Who can actually make that claim, Robert? Who can actually put the public footpath?
Anybody. I'm not suggesting that you don't. I'm just saying that it would have to go through a formal process.
Okay. Okay, well we'll do that, I think, and we will send both a letter to both the Staffordshire County Councillors, because they're the people who are actually, of course, paying for this. So we'll write to the Staffordshire County Council and send a letter accompanying to ESBC saying this is what has been arranged, and did he have any objection? And I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
We need just say that we can take the branches off the trees.
Done that.
Oh, right.
Already said that.
That was agreed, was it?
Yeah, well, nobody's actually said no. But do you want me to repeat it? Okay, then
We all agreed.
we all agreed. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, otherwise, how can you practically use the access?
Okay. Right, the David Share Memorial Playground, Forestside. Did you have a look at it?
Can I-
No, I've got.
Oh, you were doing it. Sorry, beg your pardon. Councillor.
Can I just say before
Oh
then?
no, Councillor Nixon on the bottom. Sorry, I didn't see him.
Sorry, can I just say before then that I am meeting a gentleman from Sutcliffe Play on Monday at the playground because you asked me to look into having repairs or something done with the
mats,
the flooring
Yeah.
in the children's play area. So I'm meeting someone on Monday.
That's the area around the mats themselves because they're actually coming up slightly and obviously there's dirt getting in there. Okay, we've got fences will need attention. Which fences are these? Are these around the playground?
Basically, there's a head at the bottom that's got a lot of holes and scrub ground behind it. And then there's private houses fence there that's disappeared. It's obviously blown down and fallen.
Yeah. So are these fences at the back?
Yes, it's worse than that now, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, it is that.
Right.
Now, the house that this goes to, I went round the other side to knock on the door, and the house is up for sale. So I don't know at the moment whether we'd have any luck in that direction.
This would be our fence property problem or theirs? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know.
Theirs is sure, the fence to the yes.
I would have thought so. The fence that we have onto the field behind us is certainly our responsibility.
Would it not be just as well seeing it was up for sale just to get it repaired rather than swinging in the wind?
It's quite a lot, Chairman. It's clearly...
Oh, the whole thing? It's not just
it isn't
one fence
just
panel?
repairing one fence panel. If
we
we could leave it, I would say, if it's up for sale, see what the new owners, because I'm sure they don't want people from the playground.
No, straight
go
into their garden.
into their garden, which they will be able to do because it's blown down.
We could write to them and ask them if it's their fence to start with, because I think they're flat, so I'm not sure whether it was, I assumed it was the bottom one, which was the one that was up for sale, but we could write to the two flats and ask actually who owns it as a starter, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
But wouldn't we, when we built the playground, would we not, that doesn't look like a fence that we would have put that.
No.
There's got a lot of...
yeah.
That's the thing, right now,
Well, what I'm saying is when we built the playground, I would suspect that was the house's fence, you see what I mean?
Okay, so the decision on that is to write to the owners.
Well, if the flats are rented, they won't have a view of it.
No, they won't, that's true.
It's really the property.
The property.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
Yeah.
The only way you can do that is through
the land
registry. Yeah.
Unless I ring up the estate agents, but they won't always tell you, will they?
I think panels would it take them for to do it?
Quite a few. It's like the posts are moved as well.
Yeah.
So we know we're putting a new fence back in because the posts themselves.
Is it sort of after the panels or?
But it's the post, so it's not just putting the fence, it's redoing the fence.
We need to find the house owner.
Yeah, contact the house owner.
Okay, land registry thing, if you can, if you have to.
The only other thing, with the rest, there was a couple of children playing there, and I asked them if they wanted any other equipment.
Dangerous.
Yeah. One of them said, yeah, he did. And he got a list. So, like what? And he couldn't remember any of it. The other one said he wanted something a lot higher because he goes to Derby to climb a wall. So he said,
oh, right.
Well,
I'm sure we can
find
a wall.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting that.
So basically, it comes down to a bin needs emptying on the other points.
Yeah, and the bin needs emptying on that playground, the football pitch. There was quite a lot of litter about. but there was no bin. So I wondered whether they should put a bin, or if there had been one, there wasn't one.
I don't think there has ever been a bin.
No, I appreciate the problem of emptying it,
Exactly.
but there's quite a lot of bottles and whether the residents pick it up, when they go dog walking, I don't know, but there certainly isn't anywhere to put it. Unlike that playground, which is going to be.
Do you have this one on the other playground? ESBC?
Yes.
Why can't we put another bin there and see if they would do it?
Use it.
We could ask them if they put a bin there.
Yeah, because really we've got to encourage tidiness, haven't we? If the bottom of somebody falls on the bottom and cut themselves, then we're going to be responsible, aren't we?
Okay, is it that untidy that needs...
No, don't get me wrong, it wasn't untidy, there just was bottles, plastic bottles, like milk bottles, as in plastic.
I know what you mean, yeah.
But I don't know whether somebody, just put them out, dropped them today, or yesterday.
The likelihood is that the wind has taken them to...
Yeah, well, it could be as simple as that, because everything else, the pitch and the nets, it was all fine. The only thing I can say is the signs that you put up, you mentioned Mark, contact Mark.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So they need changing. Regarding the nets and everything.
Although he still has the things, and he probably would still do it for us if we asked him.
Perhaps the best thing to do is ask him.
I will ask him, yes.
Right.
The other thing is that Mark contacted me, and there is a conifer which is in the Crown land, the no man's land, and it's sort of part of the trunk is in Mark's garden, and the rest is in no man's land, and a branch is broken off it and gone into the playing field. Did you see that up in the corner? And I asked Terry Beaumont to remove it for us, and he said he thought the tree should come down, but I've since spoken again with Mark, and he said no, the tree shouldn't come down. He doesn't want the tree to come down. He would oppose that. He's taken photographs which I'll pass around for you to have a look.
But you all see how exciting a parish meeting is, can't you?
We do need to get the branch removed.
Yeah, get the branch removed.
Right, so
so you're all happy with
you're
that?
happy with, we leave the tree as it is and we remove the residue that's fallen to the ground. All agreed?
Yeah.
Okay. So we move on to Green Lane, yes. We're back to Mr. Langston again. Right.
No.
Yes, we are. It asked if the staff for Footpath.
Oh, well, that's been
41.
reported, yes.
And the point is that it appears that that's been reported to Staffordshire County Council, who, of course, deal with footpaths.
Yes, they
and that's been done, and we must await their reaction.
Yes, when we saw Paul, he said they hadn't been out to look at it yet, which was last Monday. Okay. No, last Friday, sorry.
Right, moving on to highways. You've reported the cobblestones in the High Street, which are, what's the name of that? Something Farm?
Quarters.
That was last month, yes.
And,
since
we've reported that.
I've reported these ones this month.
And you've also reported Staffordshire County Council flooding at Birch Cross and Long Hill.
The flood has gone, so how that job that I don't know, but the flooding has gone.
Yes.
Right.
Whether it will come back if we get significant rain or snow, we don't know.
Could be tomorrow then.
Also reported the tree branch in Bag Lane, but I don't know whether someone else removed that before they got there.
Footpaths 46 and 47.
Which are the ones the two ladies there said?
They were talking about it have been done. There's 2 new stars been done and 2 new star steps.
And we've also had an email from...
Oh my goodness. Are you talking about Bag Lane again?
No, it's
While we're waiting for that, you've also reported a tree branch in Bag Lane to Staffordshire County Council for their help to remove the branch. So that's been reported.
It's an email from Mr Speechley, who was here earlier, and he says, Dear Linda, as a resident of Silver Lane, must say thank you to the Parish Council for the work being done to the stiles along the footpath.
Good. Good.
So,
that's fine, thank you very much. We move down to prison liaison. Yeah.
Just can you just comment on the highway?
yes.
Oh, okay.
You've not seen the signs,
I
Mr.
assume everybody's seen these signs, even the commented about how reflective they are.
So you've now trimmed all the vegetation back.
I just wanted that on record.
Right.
Okay, so the woodland signs have been cleaned by Mr Nixon, please.
Oh, thank you, Chair. I wasn't going to mention it, but what a great fellow you are.
Was it Cloth and Bucket? Sorry.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Waterstone Court, you raised the point about cobbles. Surely that area isn't adopted, and therefore it's the responsibility of the householders, speaking as one of them.
Oh, right.
No, it's outside.
Outside?
On the road,
on the
High
road.
Street.
You know the little bit of footpath that used to go in front of the old shop?
Yes.
It's that bit there.
Okay,
And it's just
right. Sorry, it's not
the cobbles on the edge of the road and the
trying to give a location, sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry.
A cobbled curb, yes, that's what I'm being told.
So it's broken up round there, so they want to be put back and re-cemented. It's no big deal, but we'd like to see it done rather than somebody tripping over it.
One last question. Can't the householder do that?
I suppose you could if they took the responsibility.
Highways though, doesn't it?
Oh, that is highways, right.
Yeah.
Well, pavement,
as
I'm
far
not
as
sure.
I know, it belongs to highways. They haven't come back and said it doesn't, so
Yeah.
assuming so. If they do come back, then obviously we will contact the householder.
It gets very edgy when you start talking about pavements next door to roads, you know, as to responsibilities. It's a bit like water pipes. Really.
Yeah.
Sorry,
the
yes.
The chain gang.
Chain gang? Oh, that's what you mean, yes.
In the woodlands, going from the crossroads, going up the woodlands, there's a spring, and it's every time it rains quite heavily, the spring obviously starts flooding, and the water goes straight on the road and runs down the road quite badly.
I see, yeah.
There is a really good deep ditch right by it, but it needs a channel digging for this spring to
exit the water.
I'm asking whether or not they can actually. It's like a hardcore entrance to the field, but it just needs a proper ditch or channel digging.
Can we do that then?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, could you ask them if that's something in their remit?
Yes.
But with this freezing that we've had, the road was just a sheet of ice.
Which actual crossroads are we talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
The one just below my house.
Where Robert used to live?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So if you come from here to the left.
We don't have a map reference, do we, for these people?
No, but I can find it on the Google
Well, you'll see, because the minute it rains, the water... You know where I mean, Robert?
Where your cottage used to be?
Up from you, where we used to live.
Yeah.
Up towards my house. And
Up to Red Park.
Yeah, we're past there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, keep going on up.
Yeah.
And where there's two gates opposite each other now.
Yes, one used to be Arthur Pountain, then...
That's right, Arthur
then
Pountain.
Then Buxton.
Right, it's not, it's Arthur Pountains, that field there.
Oh, what? Well, it's...
Yeah. But that field there,
yeah.
That's where the spring is, and it's right in the gateway. Caused by when they put the gas pipe through, they've obviously done something.
But hasn't that one for years and years? Paul?
Yeah, but it doesn't go, it goes on the road. It doesn't go into the, there's a perfectly good ditch there, but the spring is just too far over in the gateway. It's really quite dangerous.
When it freezes?
Yeah. Because it's the
No, I was wondering, whether you get down to the farmers to sort of pipe.
Well, the answer, what I answered yesterday is because it's actually not in his field that the trench needs doing. It's on the curb, on the side of the road.
Okay, well, we asked
to see if
we'll ask the neighbourhood team if they can do it, and see what happens.
Yeah, see what they say.
Well, that's what I was asking. They're doing it.
I mean, the thing is that you could actually... Isn't Marchington Clifford is doing it? Because there was a very nasty accident out there, wasn't there, the other
Different
day?
place.
Yeah, you're a totally different place.
The lady lost
The Marchington Cliffs bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that has got the same problem as a some water which comes off.
It's
the
been
left-hand
done,
bank.
it's been done.
Yeah, recently.
Oh well, in that case I haven't been up there for some time. Okay.
And it seems to work, the roadworks that we're doing now.
Okay, that's good. All right, let's move on. We've not heard anything from PC Bolton or his assistant PC Shepherd, so we're hoping they'll attend the next meeting. Prison Liaison meeting. We've got a date now for councillors to go along to the prison, not to be incarcerated, of course. Not yet. And we're agreeing a date of the 21st of January, and it's been decided that Paul, myself and Andrew are to attend. Is that okay with you? Yeah. That's at 6 o'clock, by the way. In case you don't know where to go, it's outside the prison, not inside. Right. Land at Marchington Woodlands. I do hope that isn't.
I think Paul's taking photographs, aren't you, Paul?
Yes, I have. I've printed them all off and not brought them.
Good.
But I do have some on my phone.
Oh, right.
But not them.
For the land at Marchington Woodlands, yes.
I'll email you.
You'll email?
Okay.
It's there. I mean, there's a trailer there tonight. There's a cattle. Yeah, trailer. Remains of one. There's a cattle.
These will have dates on, won't they? So that
yeah, it's a digital camera.
So we can do it over a period of time and then go back to.
Well, they will have, but you can see the weeds are
growing through them.
Yeah, that's right.
I think if you just send them to Linda rather than to me, I think it's best they come to you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Right. Now then, passing up.
Do you need to forward them on to send them to the police and the county?
We will when we've had
Eventually,
several of them at different times. That was the idea.
Yeah, the idea is to do it over a 6-month period, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now then, Mr. Ford, or Councillor Ford, to give you a thought.
Not done a lot, really.
We've not
over the Christmas period.
Next meeting. Do you want to continue with this? Are you getting anywhere? Or do you feel as if it's a one-man band thing?
Well, yeah, yes, no. We are losing a few. Most of the interesting party that came, 3 years ago, right. They're the same age group as my son, approaching the GCSE year. And of course, time's moved on, and
interest as
yes,
it's not as motivated as it
was
was before.
Out the village, and there's nobody up and coming that's really smart.
Have a think about it. If you want to come back at next meeting and say, look, it's not going anywhere or whatever. But it continues on here.
Is there no interest by the youngsters, and why don't we just scrap the idea?
Well, I think we're slowly getting to that point, to be honest.
Leave it till next meeting, leave it on until next meeting, then perhaps you can come along and give us a decision one way or the other.
Move out because there was no skate park.
Well, they might have moved out because there's no skate park.
My son's desperate to move to Utopster so he can go to the skate park.
There you go. Perhaps you could wait the building of the 800 new houses that there is awaited in New Toxteth.
Perhaps you could ask in your chairman's report if anyone is interested.
I haven't started that.
Perhaps you could ask in your chairman's report to contact us if they're still interested in how we do that.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Then we've seen the farm yesterday. So the park, we're getting busy.
Right. Best kept village. Round the table. Shall we enter again?
Yes.
Yes? Yes. Everyone say yes?
Yes.
Okay, Johnny, good, so do I. So we'll enter again this year, and perhaps people sitting around here would put their best flowers out in the front gardens.
They do a lovely job.
Yes.
In the village hall, and we get some baskets this time sorted out for the fun.
Yes, that's good.
And you also ask people to trim their weeds back as well, please.
Like you're talking about the village hall?
No, I'm talking about the village.
Yes, okay, very well. Yes, you want me to, you don't really want me to put that in, do you?
No.
Good. Bad enough as it is. Okay.
Village Hall?
I think that's
Yeah.
that's over to you, I think.
Okay.
Andrew's a representative for
The current programme is that we are going to install new oak front doors to the village hall and new windows to the ladies and gents toilets. This is an initial stage of lifting the front of the building.
Okay.
We also intend during this month and next month to repaint the stage area in the quiet period between the curtain and the kitchen and the committee at the back. And this week there will be a new kitchen floor put down there, non-slip, beer coloured. The ladies of the Village Hall Committee wanted a beer coloured floor. So there you go.
They suggested anyone spills beer.
That should be installed this week.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Thank you very much for that update. Right, neighbourhood plan and local plan. We've had two meetings, of course, between the last parish council meeting. One which was a workshop, which was yesterday, which 3 of us attended, including, was it 3 of us? There was 2 of us, including yourself, wasn't it? And 2 residents, so there was 5 people, and we got the terminology of the planning departments, the various councils and whatever. I was still slightly confused as to what they all meant, but never mind. I'm getting there. The other point is that the neighbourhood plan is to try to be produced within the next 6 to 9 months, which seems an awful long time, but we shall try our best to get it done. There is some efforts on part of 2 people, both are being paid for their job, and extremely good and extremely knowledgeable.
No, Bob Keith isn't paid.
Is he not paid?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon. We have one consultant who is being paid to produce the report, and he's doing quite a good job actually. And so that's. Anybody else like to add things, Richard? Anybody who came along to the
No, it made it sound ever more complicated actually, didn't it, by the time?
Yes, I came out feeling slightly confused, but we're not specialists. Neil, you'd like to say a word?
Yeah, I'm just sort of really wondering what the constraint is on getting this, why it is 6 to 9 months. I mean, it's just an explanation, really.
Well, that's a good point.
And what can we do to encourage that along a bit?
One of the problems that we have is the local plan is up for examination.
That's the ESBC plan, not
the local plan. And one of the problems is our allocation for Marchington is 20 houses at present, but at the last hearing of the local plan, it was suggested by various groups that perhaps the numbers around altogether, not just Marchington Village, were too low, and they needed the examiner to look at the total number of houses overall. And it may be that those 20 houses will have to be increased, but he asked ESBC for further evidence because he didn't feel that they submitted enough evidence in various sections of the plan. And so until he gets that evidence back, the hearings were delayed, which means it has a knock-on effect. But we are working behind the scenes with Clive Pupil, our planning consultant, and one of the things that we are working towards at the moment is doing a site assessment of all the sites that are coming forward, because as you can imagine, because we're doing the neighbourhood plan, a lot of these sites, people that have got land, along with the ones that have already been registered with ESBC under the assessment SHLA, obviously for building houses, as would have William Davis had they been here today, was one of them. So all those pieces of land have to be assessed equally under the same criteria, and that's the next exercise that we're moving towards.
It's complicated by the fact that ESBC have got to go back to, is it the inspector?
Examiner.
The mayor or the examiner, because their plan was how should we say, objected to?
No, there are elements in there that were challenged, so therefore the inspector asked for that information.
And obviously you don't get that information in 5 minutes.
Sure.
So he put I think he delayed the proceedings for 6 months.
This is until May time now, isn't it?
But ESPC are hoping to get that information, turn that information around a lot quicker than that, and he's accepted that. So it's possible that will be heard sooner. But I mean, the problem that we have was that when the Conservative Liberal Coalition came in, they brought in the NPPF, which was a National Planning Policy Framework, which basically took a tome of planning policies and shrunk them down to about 48 pages. Plus, they put in this little phrase, presumption in favour of sustainable development, without any really great clarification or tying that down. And the situation you're finding yourself in at the moment, and why a lot of these sites are being challenged is because also there is a thing called the 5-year land supply. So the Borough Council have to prove that it has 5 years supply of deliverable housing in the pipeline. But because of the current situation that we're in economically, and the fact that people can't get mortgages and there isn't sufficient funding coming through from public funds to build social housing and things like that, the actual number of houses that are being delivered by builders is very low. So the 5-year land supply is a bit of a nonsense really, because it's actually allowing more and more builders to bring forward sites because they're saying, well, you've not got a 5-year land supply. And I can see we're going to end up like an Irish situation in the long term, because we're going to have that many sites forward and come forward through this plan. And it really makes a mockery of a local plan process, because basically developers can ride roughshod over local wishes and just come in and they go presumption in favour of sustainable development. They go to the planning inspector and say, ESPC, I haven't got a 5-year land supply, and it's not just ESPC, this is across the country. I haven't got a 5-year land supply, so therefore we should build our houses, and that's what they're pushing them through.
The only problem, of course, is that all the builders' shares on Friday dropped 6%. And the reason is just what you've just said. It's a shortage of mortgages, it's the 2-hour sort of survey and interview of people looking for a mortgage and so on. So it's affecting it all round. So it's not a question of building enough houses. As you said, it's finding enough money. And I do wonder who's going to buy all these 11,500 houses, which are supposed to be built in the SBC.
It'll be more than that.
More than that? You've only got 27,000 plots.
There's more than enough plots for build 3 times that number. But you are in that situation, and that's the reality. And I think where
excuse me, Andrew, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I'd just like to understand which is it, the chicken or the egg first. I mean, do we need to conclude our neighbourhood plan first, or is it dependent on...
No, there are, because Anslow's neighbourhood plan has come through. Ralston's hasn't. And the issue was, and I actually at the time went down and saw the minister in Whitehall, the issue is that the neighbourhood plan should accord with the local plan. And ideally the local plan should come first, and then the neighbourhood plan should just follow. Bang. And as long as say they said to Marchington, you want 20 houses, but Marchington said, well, actually, in our neighbourhood plan, we agree with 20 houses, but actually we think they should be there or there, and we believe that there should be this and this type of housing, then that's fine. And therefore your neighbourhood plan would have some weight in that category. But if you actually turn around and say, well, you said we want 20 houses and we only want to build 10, then that doesn't accord with the local plan. And that's where the issues are. But 1 or 2 have pushed theirs through. I mean, I think you're absolutely right, Neil. There is a process to go through, and that process in itself...
Because unless it gets signed off, the 20 goes up to 40, if we're not careful.
Well, it may do anyway, because if the planning inspector turns around and says you're having 40... Yeah.
But if you've got a robust neighbourhood plan, and the local plan aligned at 20, you will be able to protect it a lot better. Yeah. That's my point.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, I think there is process times and milestones which have to be gone through. And of course then it would have to, once the plan has been put together, approved by, then it has to go out to referendum in the village, and then then it gets signed up. So I think there are milestones, but you know, I mean, I agree with you. If you can accelerate that process and keep it aligned with the SPC's local plan as it stands, as you understand it at that point in time, and have some flexibility to adjust it if something comes forward, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So we understand what the actual, you know, the project
rules
to deliver this actually is?
It's basically to actually contain this 20 houses originally within the village itself. Sustainability, they call it. So it means that you only have a local pub, you've got nearest shop, you can walk everywhere. Which means that certain places at the moment, the blacksmiths, which is being rebuilt, for example, is not considered to be part of this area. And neither the woodlands and so on. So we're faced with having, in my view, don't take this as literal, but in my view we have 44 acres of the barracks, which is an obscene site, which is not being used, and instead of which we're concentrating housing here, literally.
Can I ask why the barracks site is just not being used? It's a brownfield site.
Yeah.
It would have access to the 5017, I guess.
It will be considered.
It will be considered, yes.
Site allocation process.
I was just trying to explain where they really want to put these houses.
But ESBC aren't in favour of it, as we stand at the moment.
Why is that, Robert?
It's because it doesn't comply to actual planning policy, which...
I thought planning policy was to build on brownfield sites.
Well, it is, but then you know you can't just go. It's also about sustainability. So if you build 100 houses on the barrack blocks, then all of those people are going to have to travel out somewhere to work. So that is not deemed sustainable. So the way in which the plan was put together was on the sustainability criteria, and on that basis, that most of that development should have, under the way in which it's formulated, been around Burton, where the centres of population are and all the facilities are, and also some development in Uttoxeter. Uttoxeter's got more development than was originally envisaged. But because of this, because of the mess we're in planning terms, there's pressure everywhere. But the actual local plan says that is not in a sustainable location. Now they could challenge that.
It's no less sustainable than the
houses, which I don't disagree with you, and I have said for a long time, and I've said this since 2001. I've said if you actually put a development there, it would make sense of that development. I mean, the whole being of those houses were there. They were part of an army establishment with a NAFI, the barrack blocks itself with those numbers of people, plus the sporting facilities. It was a community in its own right. When that was sold off, all you were left with was a clump of houses and no facilities. And therefore, in my view, to build on the barrack blocks and turn that into maybe a village in its own right, with its own facilities, to me, is would be the right thing to do. But you can't, if you have a policy, you can't sort of duck in and duck out of the policy. The policy is there, and if we say, well, we'll do that there, but hang on a minute, and somebody says, well,
you've got a policy that says you can't build on a brownfield site, and then you've got another policy that...
No, it's where the brownfield site is.
And you've got a policy that you can't use that, but you've got another policy saying that builders can now pick on any greenfield site and say, we can justify building...
No, the Board of Council doesn't have a policy saying that builders can build.
The government has a policy.
Yeah, which enables that to happen. And it's just
a lot of, if I can just interrupt, the trouble with all these sites is whether the landowner wants to have X number of houses on his land, whether he wants to sell. In this case, the barracks block is owned by a firm called Heavens of Leeds. They themselves seem to not be able to make their own minds up what they want. They had a solar park, they got the planning permission for it, but they didn't do anything with it. The planning permission, I think, has expired. I think this month, actually, after 3 years. So they aren't coming forward and telling us really what they want to do. They came here some time ago and said they want to be building a few houses. No more than that. So I agree with you, because the thing is that the problem is here you have a large lump of land next door to another large lump of houses. The argument of the SPC, well, as you said, Robert, we have to work within a framework, and that's where the Right. It's like the law said.
Yeah. And also, over and above that the barrack blocks is actually down for industrial. So therefore, if you take that for housing, you take away what your industrial housing land supply as well. So
brownfield sites could be very costly to build on.
Yeah.
Because of all what's in the ground and all the court in the way.
Well, that's why builders want to build on greenfield sites.
Yeah, much easier.
And you're talking a millions just to get the site going.
Getting back to Neil's original question,
Exactly.
we're moving as
We're moving as quickly as we can.
It will be helpful to understand what the steps are that need to be gone through.
Would you be happy to come along to a meeting, a steering group meeting? Would that interest you? Would you have that? It's not a time complete. It's only it's not like this where we're.
I will, Brian. Yeah.
Would you like to consider that? Yeah. Because we have one resident who not turning up at meetings, so that would be good. And we would like to see more residents and not having to back up the meetings with councillors. Now, I'm being blunt here, but it's a residents thing that we'd like to see being promoted, and not where the councillors have to, again, numbered with trying to find the enthusiasm for it. So come along, please. So we can count on you.
Drop me an email, I'm fine.
Great, lovely. Thank you for that. But have I answered your question now? I haven't really, have I?
Well, no, I think the answer is that it's the chicken, the egg, isn't it? There is people, and the problem with all the consultants is that obviously they will not necessarily, in their own interest, to find the solution as rapidly as possible. They will want to cover all the angles so that they're not liable.
Yes.
Whereas if a decision can be made, and we can put something on a plan, we can move forward with it. That's the thing.
We do have a situation where the grant funding that we have, which is paying for the consultant, he has a set programme that he has to finish before the 31st of March when the funding finishes and has to be spent by that time. So he has to do a certain amount of work before that date, which is quite a lot of work. So, we are pushing, and moving as quickly as we can in order to use up the funding that we've been allocated before the end of the financial year.
I mean, in hindsight, Neil, and let's be clear about this, ESBC had 11, and it was mainly those areas that were going to be affected by a larger scale of development, sought to do the local plan. In the country, we had the largest number of parish councils that came forward to put in their neighbourhood plans, and we took 11 forward. In hindsight, because nobody envisaged that as a village we'd come under the level of pressure that is now appearing. In hindsight, it would have been better if we'd have gone for a neighbourhood plan. But at the time, it's I wouldn't say doubtful, but I wonder whether or not you would have got the funding in that first tranche. But in hindsight, it would have been better to have gone that route. But we are where we are, and nobody, like I say, nobody envisages the issues that we've got now.
Okay. The next item is an emergency plan, which started off in 2012. This is a letter which is from Mr. William Reid, who is the Resilience Support Officer at East Staffordshire Borough Council. Do you wish me to read this out?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Dear Parish Clerk, your Parish Council Emergency Plan and Parish Emergency Volunteers. I was pleased to speak to Parish Council about emergency planning and introduce the template for a parish emergency plan. Some parish councils have already completed their emergency plan, and you may have read an article in the winter edition of the council's newspaper, ES News. When a parish emergency plan is complete, a desktop exercise lasting an hour is arranged for the plan emergency coordinators, where a number of incident scenarios affecting the parish are considered. These individuals, plus others nominated by the parish council, can then attend a one-day rest centre training course organised by the Staffordshire Civil Contingencies Unit. My goodness. These trained volunteers have chosen to make themselves available to assist anywhere within the borough, not just in their own parishes in the event of an emergency. If a parish council or meeting decides not to prepare an emergency plan, it will still be possible for volunteers to enrol as parish emergency volunteers. Please contact me to see how this can be arranged. And the borough's ability to respond to the emergency will be considerably enhanced with the completion of more parish emergency plans and the training of parish emergency volunteers, and I hope your parish council will contribute to this borough-wide initiative. And thank you for your attention to this matter. Where have we got? We've got a few...
You deferred to the Neighbourhood Plan stuff.
Yeah, okay. So, can we write back to Mr. Reid and say, we've got other things on our mind at the moment to do with neighbourhood plans?
I think the other thing, Chairman, is that I know Gordon was doing it with...
Yes, Ross, one of them resigned.
One of them resigning. That's just put more pressure on, and so...
Well, Gordon can't do it by himself, clearly.
No.
But is he not going on the Neighbourhood Plan? Let's think about when that is finished.
Yeah, I don't think this is, I think this is to do with a train crash, unlikely in Marchington, but you never know. And it's to do with perhaps a plane landing on us, which is something to look forward to.
Well, there was one that crashed in 1986, Mr. Chairman, where the prison is.
That's true, that's true. I don't think it was a very large one.
It was bigger than a Cessna, yeah.
Was it? Oh, right, yeah. Okay, so we can look forward to it coming in from the skies. Right, okay. Flooding issues. Okay. We had a request for aqua bags, which we've paid for. Where are these aqua bags being kept? Still at Wainwright's?
No, I think they're being kept at the chairman of the toy group.
Mr. Heapy.
Tony Heapy, yeah.
Mr. Heapy.
I believe he has a total of, they have a total of 75.
No.
Well,
you gave them 40.
Right.
And I gave them 85.
Right. They also have some Hessian bags. And you'll see from my note on the report for the playing field that more sand is required for infilling the...
Oh, have we not got that yet? We did ask for that, didn't we? Didn't I ask for that last time?
No, because nobody said...
No, it was, we were, at the last meeting, it was to assess whether it was required, and the answer is yes.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes.
So
it's just the sand that you want?
Yes, yes.
So you found this?
And Peter Wainwright does have space to store it.
How much?
I think it was a...
2 ton?
One bag, one of the large bags.
Yeah, they tell us what they deliver.
Could I ask a question? I know that Tony has got these bags at the moment, but are they accessible?
As
I understand it, they're going to be distributed to the vulnerable property.
Yeah, no, I mean that's fine, because I mean that's the idea about these aqua bags, that people that
and in fact that might well have already happened.
Yeah, the people that can't.
Yes. He's not very well at the moment, Mr. Heapy. So.
No, I mean as long as they're going to be in locations where people can get them where they need them, and I mean the best idea is that those properties that flood actually
have access.
And certainly the aqua bags are very useful for people that are.
They don't need sand, obviously.
No, they don't. I mean they're a flat bag. All you do is you put them in a. Strangely enough, you put them in a bucket of water, they expand, and then you put them down, and then they're basically the same size as an original sandbag. But I mean, those I think is important for those that are elderly, and probably would be an effort, a big effort to manhandle sandbags around. I think they're very useful.
Very heavy as well.
But we and I still believe that it's important that one, that we get the sand, and two, that somebody somewhere knows where the actual bags are to be filled.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, what do we do on that issue? Have a word with Mr. Heapy?
The request is to order some sand, and then he will organise a working party to fill the Hessian bags. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll order this sand.
Yeah, as I said, 1 ton doesn't play. Not anything to do with sand particularly, but 1 ton doesn't sound very much to me. It's just
big bags.
Well, it would be better to order that, fill the bags. If we need another ton of sand, then get another ton of sand.
Yeah. All right.
And move on.
Yes,
yeah.
Neil?
Yeah, the relief train at the back of that goes to the back through the back of
that used to be on Woolly's land and now Clauser's land, at the back of
Silverlake.
Now it goes across from about 150 metres upstream from the bridge near the dock.
Yeah.
Right, upstream, and cuts across the back of what's it called?
Towards the playing fields, or are we going the other way?
No, going
Church Close.
Just Church Close, around the back of Church Close.
Yeah. Oh, right.
We had a bank put up, but the bank, it isn't just a bank. It also forms a relief drain across the back that takes the water away from the bridge area before the bridge floods. So you actually slow down the rate of rise of water at the bridge. Now, I'm not sure that that's been re-profiled in the last 4 or 5 years. And inevitably, I mean, I don't know whether you've had it done or not.
That's something that I think they're looking at with the Environment Agency.
Yeah.
There's a whole big project between the Environment Agency and
these things can take years. I mean,
the flooding committee and Staffordshire County Council.
Yeah, but these things can take years. If that has helped considerably over the last 8 to 9 years to just take the peak away, you know, I mean, I think I don't know who
I'll interrupt you there, because there is a flooding committee which is normally headed by Mr. Eapy, and he has actually done quite a lot of work on this. So I don't know where he's got to, but they seem to be fairly on the ball. Is that
yes,
right?
yes, as far as I'm aware, and I'm just the messenger here. Yes, they do appear to be on the ball. I think they're expecting a report by the Environment Agency, Staffordshire County Council, to come back to them in April to inform them what's intended for the way forward.
Yeah, that's going forward. What I'm saying is, this winter, if that's gone up by another 7 or 8 inches, that will stop. Because over a period of 8 or 9 years, just a bank will naturally.
So what you're suggesting needs dredging?
Well, it needs reprofiling. It was never a deep ditch, but it was profiled to be as low as about a foot and a half below the level of the bridge flood mark.
Who did that, Paul? Was it the
I can't remember who did it, but I know it's not been done obviously since Clauser's had it, and it may have, and in the latter parts of Woolly's, but it's the profile of that over time will naturally go back to being a flat profile. It just needs re-establishing. So yeah, I agree. I've not had any involvement with the flood committee, which may have a long-term solution, but for this winter.
Well, we are told, I don't know how true it is, I'll believe it when I see it, but we are told that there is to be a large amount of money spent on the drains and whatever in Marchington, but clearly it's in the future. It's 2017, so it's a long way between now and then.
And there is, and certainly that it was matched, and the Victorians weren't stupid. You know, that cross drain takes it away from the bridge and shoots it down behind the church.
Right.
So it just
What
needs
length are you talking about?
Pardon?
What?
Well, it's just a reprofiling of about 6 of the field.
No, of the ditch that's to be reprofiled.
The length of the ditch.
The length of the ditch. Well, it's about 50 metres, I would say.
Well, yeah, I would say it's from, if you were to walk from the Dog and Partridge to just the other side of the church car park, that is about the length of it. It's basically runs from the back of the houses opposite Dog Bedded, and then on Church Close. No, it's not Church Close because it goes round the corner and it appears. It's all right because I've seen it from the back. So we walked with the Environment Agency. It either stops and goes into the ditch at the back of one of the houses on Church Close,
and it goes right underneath that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I mean, we're just trying to establish the length of.
But it's two pints diameter. I mean, it's a proper relief drain. Proper relief drain.
It is something they've been looking at with the.
But just reprofiling it will take. You know, if it was 2 years before we get a big spend, it's just. My view, it's not worth taking the risk if.
What
we
do you
get
like
it
to do?
reprofiled.
Well, would you like to write to? Sorry.
Could I suggest that Do you sit on the flooding committee? Do you
No,
remember
well,
the next meeting?
I attend sometimes, yes, and
I get invited occasionally.
Yeah.
Maybe just write to Tony and say, look, this has been brought to our attention.
Yeah,
By Neil.
I think that's a good idea.
And if need clarification, speak to Neil.
Yeah.
We had it done 7 or 8 years ago, and it seemed to help.
Who paid for that then?
I'm not sure.
I have a feeling that something has been done there though recently.
I've not noticed any work going on.
I think write to the flooding committee, say there's this issue, this worked before, we believe there's an issue there.
Enormous.
And just see.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a dredging thing, it's just a reprofile.
Yeah, it is.
7 or 8 inches would make a big difference.
You get equivalent ground there.
Oh yes, field.
Oh yeah.
Field you get to it, yeah. I think, yeah.
Right, can we
Andrew, if you want me to just show you where that is, if you wanted to
Yeah, sure. I'll knock on your door and go for a walk.
How lovely. Together. Right. Defibrillator in, I can't even say that, defibrillator. Thank you. In the village. How about that, Richard? Have you got something to
well,
talk about?
did you get my email? I said, well, perhaps what to liaise with your village hall committee is to
where to fit it.
Where to fit it, and that would negate where we would need electric to
Thank you.
Right. Okay. I don't recall, but I've been away for a few days, so I'll study them.
That was sort of we were talking about a quote for where to put it and electrical supply for the meter side.
Right.
And then go from there really.
Right. So you want to know exactly where, and then you'll get a quote. Yeah. Right. I'll do that.
I mean, I asked a few people about the village who all seem to be in favour of perhaps ask our audience.
Yes, that's a good idea. I mean, how do you all feel about a defibrillator being actually on the outside of the building in the event of somebody suffering a heart attack? Because I've got one coming on.
Good idea.
This was something that...
In the village that I used to live in up in Lancashire, it was at the local pub. Because the pub was open the vast majority of the time, it had a power supply. The landlord had got a heart problem, which was obviously in his favour, but it made the most sense to have it there because that was in the centre of the village.
And was it mounted on an outside wall?
No, I think it was inside.
So it relied on the door, relied on the pub's doors being open to.
Yes, but the landlord was never that far away, to be honest. I mean, because he lived there anyway. So either him or a member of staff were always there. So, but
the village hall is in fairness more central to the village than that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Will it hang on the wall outside of the building, or?
Yes, but
it
could be the best idea.
That would be better. Well,
it was to keep one outside. It needs to be in a heated cabinet, just to protect the battery really from going too cold. So that was what we were working on, was a quote for mounting a cabinet outside with an electrical supply.
I think it's a good idea. I think the only thing to worry about is the conservation area and planning for it. Is that going to be an issue with it?
I don't think the village owns the conservation.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, we need to look at that. But surely it's just like, if you were by the seaside having a ring, a life ring to throw in the sea to rescue somebody.
No, conservation area.
Right. The village hall is on about replacing the porch and everything. Then, and obviously you might have to go for planning for that. So it can always be incorporated in with that.
No. Apparently we don't. Not just to replace the windows as they are now. We don't. No.
I can't see it being a problem because they encourage you to put cigarette stubbing out boxes outside the doors and things like that.
It's something that would have to be checked on. But
It's not a very big...
Because it's in the public interest, and you weigh that against other things, don't you?
Sure.
And it could be highly visible by the pub, so people driving past will know exactly where it is, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Less visible here, but maybe that's a good thing aesthetically.
Well, that was one concern that somebody raised, was would somebody nick it? Would it be better inside the village hall? I said, well, it's not public access then, is it? If it's inside.
I think the other concern was, would it be vandalised? That was the other thing. But
Unless you have it as a key, which is behind a glass panel which you have to smash, which makes noise, and then you take the key out.
Well, I think that the Forestside Plan cabinet is alarmed.
It's alarmed? What?
Yeah.
And the story can't do any more than that.
Can't remember now without checking, but I think you could have a combination lock on it. I know everybody would get a combination.
In which case, why have a lock?
Yeah. Yeah. The other part of, we could get part funding from the British Heart Foundation. They will fund one just over half. Part of their condition for the funding was that you would need some volunteers from the community to do the basic CPR training, because obviously somebody needs to be going out CPR or somebody else runs for the defibrillator. So I don't know whether anybody would be interested in that.
We live 2.5 miles away, so by the time we get there, it's all over.
Well,
he's looking on the bright side.
That's true, but having said that, the cuts to the ambulance service, you still might be getting a shout, won't you?
Just plug him into the mains.
I'm sure there'll be takers to do the free training.
I mean, the free training isn't essential for the use of the defibrillator.
No.
And yeah, I know, because my mother died. My mother died recently, and the ambulance service. I wasn't there. I mean, I came along a bit later. But the ambulance service were talking through my father's neighbour on how to conduct CPR. So, you know, most people have got mobile phones. The idea behind the defibrillator is that the way in which these are constructed is that if somebody's, it will monitor anyway, and if somebody's got a heartbeat, it won't let you give them a shock anyway. It's relatively straight. It is quite a straightforward piece of kit.
So relatively idiot-proof, anyway. So
yeah. So
just don't touch the patient whilst the shock is
going. I mean, if you look at it from the Heart Foundation's point of view, if you can encourage people to learn about life-saving methods through CPR and things like that, well, that improves everything for everybody. But the actual equipment itself is could be used without that.
Your committee, their comments.
I believe there were some comments about how much electricity would it use, but but no, I mean it's parish council's building anyway, so
and we give grant aid support, don't we?
Okay. It's needs £50 to pay for the electrical view, we can grant them that.
If it saves one person's life, it's worth it.
And I think for £400, it's not exactly right.
Expensive, isn't it?
That's probably £400
for the cabinet, plus
the rest of the defibrillator. Okay.
And then the thing's £1,000. British Heart Foundation fund 600, and we pay the 400.
400. So it's 400 plus 400.
Yeah.
So it's £800.
Yeah.
Right.
Plus electrical supply.
Do you want to go around the table with that one? Do you want to see whether we extend on that?
Or we're just going to find out.
Yeah, where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Can I just ask how often the kit has to be replaced? Because these things usually are life.
10 years, apparently.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's a rechargeable battery which is connected to electricity supply.
No, it's
so
not rechargeable. Draws out.
Oh, really?
It's got 10-year life.
Why does it need an electrical supply then?
So the battery don't go too cold.
Because so used to these things that you recharge up, but I assumed it was a rechargeable cycle. Okay, so we finished on that subject. We moved to the Silver Lane Bollard, which I believe that you, Mr Nixon, Councillor Nixon rather, and the clerk met with Mr Langston, and Ian Atherton, who I believe was from representing on part of Staffordshire County Council.
Access officer, he specialises in...
He's the access officer?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Okay. Well, the thing is that I wasn't at the meeting, and I think it would be best, Councillor Nixon, if you read out the appraisal.
Yeah, there's all councillors have had Mr Langston's had the report by the thing, so I won't, because it's quite a reading report, but I'll summarise basically what it was. It appears that the residents in Silver Lane, you know, Mr Langston included, are objecting to the bollard because as we've been told, this prevents access by disability vehicles. We all know that it was put there to prevent travellers getting in on the playing field, and Mr Langston wanted a health and safety and disabilities report done.
Impact assessments.
If you could let him finish, Mr. Langston, and then I'll ask you to speak afterwards, okay? And
so that's what the meeting was about. The report, to put it in a nutshell, the gentleman can't recommend anything one way or the other based on the fact that it's between what the council decided and what the local residents want, and the sort of conclusion in a nutshell is, you know, there's always going to be disagreement between what we the council have put the bollard there for and what the local residents have. There was no real suggestion made as to alternatives or to get around the issue of us wanting it to stay there and the residents in Silver Lane wanting it removed. One idea was that his suggestion, Mr Atherton suggested, is that we ask all the local people in the village who have access to the playing field what their opinion is, really. I think the main objection seems to be because there's plenty of room for mobility scooters, wheelchairs to get past the bollard, but they can't take a vehicle past without ringing up, and I think Mr Langston felt that that was preventing anybody using it as and when they wanted. There's some tables down there, and I know again Mr Langston suggested his father-in-law has a heart problem and couldn't walk from there, so he drives on. So just as a suggestion, we could possibly move the tables from where they are by the playing field and move them down to the other end of Silver Lane where there is a gate, where there is no bollard, so people could then park at the end of Silver Lane and go straight to the picnic tables, as that was a suggestion that people weren't allowed to picnic. That's just what I sort of thought of while we were there. I'm not saying that's the way forward, but we could make a little picnic area there.
You're talking about the end of Silver?
Yeah, where's the double gate? Because, as we know, if we take that bollard out, as was expressed at this meeting, that, you know, the reason it's there is to prevent
travellers.
Yeah, prevent travellers getting in.
And the odd car coming driving on the football field.
And the joyriders. Yeah.
Which brings me on. Have you finished?
Yes.
I have got two letters to read here from residents, one who lives in Silver Lane, and I'd just like to read that out, I think. This is from, by the way, John Gibbs, who lives almost, or not quite opposite the gate. He lives, I think, about a house and a half down. So you know where he is. I was hoping to attend this meeting, but he says that unfortunately work commitments have prevented me from doing so. I realise the council has some bigger issues to deal with, and the issue regarding the barrier to the playing field should not be a distraction. However, I feel it appropriate to give my own views further to my discussions with Brian, that's me, and articles in the Parish magazine. Prior to making my suggestion regarding the bollard, I have the following observations to make. I fully support the council in the work they undertake on behalf of the village, and will respect their decision on this matter after I've had the opportunity to raise a number of points which follow. May I mention that Steve Langston is not my representative, and he has never claimed to have been my representative, and I personally do not resent drivers parking on Silver Lane. With respect to the bollard at the entrance to the playing field, I wholeheartedly agree with the aims of the council in looking to prevent travellers setting up on the field and preventing joyriders driving on the field at night, as has been the case. My view has been that whilst the measures currently taken do achieve the two objectives above, could they be practically achieved by another method, while still allowing drivers to park on the field during the day? I also understand drivers can also park on the road if they chose to do so. Drivers have, up to recently, always been allowed to park on the field, whether it's for football training, games, general use, accessing the children's playground area, keep fit, dog walking, blah blah blah. Whilst the barrier undoubtedly does prevent travellers accessing the field, has advice been taken regarding the effectiveness of securing the height barrier in another manner which would prevent the barrier lock being cut off or being lifted off its hinges? If using a barrier to prevent travellers can be established to be as equally as effective as an all-round practical solution could be achieved by the following: using the barrier to prevent travellers, raising the bollard at dusk and lowering it in the morning to prevent joyriders. My best regards to you, John Gibbs. There's another letter also here which is from Liz Morgan, who lives, I believe, in Jacks Lane.
Ian Morgan.
Is it Ian Morgan? Sorry, I beg your pardon. Glasses. Right, which is from Ian Morgan, who lives in Jacks Lane. He says, very short and sweet, but says, "Dear all, I'm sad and disappointed to see the criticism of yourselves and the work you do on behalf of myself and the residents of Marchington and surrounds. I wish to state that you have my full support as members of the council, and having talked to many in the village, I can assure you the criticism you're receiving is from a small minority. I do wish you every success in your continued vigilance and management of village matters, and if I can be of any assistance, I will do my best to oblige you. Yours faithfully, Ian Morgan." So those are two variations on a theme, and I'm now quite happy to ask Mr. Langston to give his own opinion.
I think I've made my opinion quite clear that
no, from this meeting that you had, I'm referring.
Yes. Oh yes, yes. I mean, Mr. Atherton did confirm that the accessibility of the playing field is worse now than it used to be, and obviously will disadvantage people who need to use a mobility vehicle to get close to the picnic area and the child play area.
Right.
So he's confirmed that that's the case, that the access is worse now than it was. You know, the whole point of disability discrimination legislation is to prevent any accessibility being any worse and to encourage accessibility to actually be better. So the bollard is contrary to the.
He didn't say that.
Well, he
He didn't say that.
No, I'm saying that
No,
it's
he
in
didn't
contrary. He said that it's here in black and white that the access now is worse.
We've prevented a vehicle access.
Yes, people with who have a mobility vehicle who cannot wheel themselves from the lane past the bollard to the.
Well, can I read this out?
Can I just say actually that I think that because Mr. Langston, I know that you're not very happy with him with this filming, but he had the courtesy to let you speak and finish, and I think you should do the same for him because this isn't coming across very well on YouTube.
Yeah, but
The fact of the matter is it's still on there,
has
and I don't
to
think it's
be.
come on.
I think when somebody says something that actually there is in black and white is saying one thing, and what it says is, while there is adequate space either side of the bollard for wheelchair users, the track into the field is on rough ground or grass, both of which can be difficult to manoeuvre across in a wheelchair or mobility scooter. That isn't saying the bollard has made it, it's saying you can get past that.
No, I
And
appreciate
that's
that. All I'm saying is that you should just at least give Mr. Langdon the opportunity to speak, and then you can counteract what he said. I just don't think that this is being done in a very, very polite and very adult manner.
I have asked Mr. Langston to speak, thank you, but I've asked from one side to give their report, and I've asked Mr. Langston to give his.
I know, but then you've got other parish councillors who then arguing with him while he's still giving his report.
Well, actually, Robert didn't.
I'm not a parish councillor, and I am, and from my.
But I apologise, I didn't realise that.
From my position, I'm hearing something which isn't written. I've read this report 3 times. Isn't true, and so therefore what we're getting is a misrepresentation of what is in the report. If you want to quote things from a report, quote it verbatim.
No, I I appreciate that, but I just think then that you have your opportunity to speak if you're not from the parish council, after the parish council's spoken, after Mr Langston's spoken, and then you can have your say.
I'm off early in the morning, so I think I must go, but I support keeping the bollard where it is.
I take your point, madam, but I'm trying to do my best to wheel a little path and make some common sense out of all this.
I appreciate that, sir. I don't mean to criticise, it's just an observation.
Okay. Thank you.
It does say in here. I'm trying to scan it and try to find out where he does say that it is worse. I'm trying to pick that word out.
Both of which can be difficult to manoeuvre across a wheelchair or mobility scooter. In this instance, the access to the field is worse than before. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, thank you. Yes. He is saying that from a disability point of view, I mean, this is me speaking, not written here. I mean, I think really we ought to read this whole article report out, because and then it's very clear to everybody. But he is saying that the access is worse for people who have got a disability and who need to.
Can we improve the access without moving the bollard?
We're not saying. I'm not proposing to remove the bollard. Nobody's proposing to remove the bollard. We're proposing to spend £220 to whether the. You know, that's something I'd like to mention in a moment, but the £220 we're talking about to secure the height barrier, and there are at least 4 people in Silver Lane who are more than happy to lift the bollard in the evenings and drop it in the mornings, which would allow...
Could I just interrupt? Could you tell me who these people are? Would that include yourself?
It does include myself. I haven't really asked the other people's permission whether I can mention their names, but I can certainly ask the other 3 individuals.
So
between the 4 of us, we were all quite happy to drop the bollard in the mornings and lift it at dusk or before dusk to prevent people going on at night and driving on there. £220 is not a lot to ask for. I know Councillor Nixon expressed the view that the bollard has already cost a large amount of money, and the 220. All we're asking for is £220 to improve the situation in Silver Lane, to stop travellers getting on, prevent the joyride, or reduce the likelihood of joyriding. Or well, it's not, joyriding is not quite the appropriate word. People who've actually got on there and shouldn't have been on there. But if the parish council are unable to give £220 to help with that situation in Silver Lane and help with the accessibility for disabled people, there are other ways where grants are available. I believe that Councillor Robert Hardwick, Councillor Hardwick has a community fund, I understand, that he could possibly access for this £220 to enable the parish council to not have to spend any further monies on this. I also understand from the Equality Act helpline people that £220 could easily be found by various accessibility charities and the big lottery fund.
Can we separate? Sorry, did you want to say something?
Mr. Langston finished that.
Yeah, but I'm just going to try to split up these particular problems. You are talking about spending £220 on improving the overhead gantry.
To secure it.
Yeah. So that's your point.
So that it can't be bolt cropped, it can't be easily defeated. It would have to be defeated with an angle grinder, a generator.
Can I get that point answered? Do you want to say something?
I can't see the point in spending money on that where that is not a problem at the moment.
But the situation...
The height and the security of it. We haven't got a problem with that. Until we get a problem, then I suggest we don't spend money on it.
Well, Robert, the conclusion is that we ask the various people within the village, is it an issue to them? And depending on what they say, it's as we take action. We don't need to spend any
Yeah, but
more
we're talking about two different things here. When we're talking about security of the...
well, that's what Mr Langston did. He's talking about spending money which we don't need to spend because we've already got a bollard.
Sure.
And there's an issue has been raised. The independent gentleman that came said, ask the local clubs, etc., who use the playing field, is it an issue? And that will go on. And
sorry.
And that I suggest is what we do. Because this is going to drag on and on and on. We as a council, as we all know, put that in to prevent access to the playing fields from travellers, because it costs us, you know, 3,000-4,000, whatever it turned out to be.
I don't know the exact cost, was it?
But the point being is we did it quickly because the vast majority of residents wanted it doing. And that's why it's there. And we're now looking at spending more money unnecessarily on an issue that doesn't need it. So let's do what the gentleman in the report says, is just asking the village what their opinion is. And then we should put it to bed, because this is going on and on and on.
Yeah, I can read out this report. It says, as a suggestion to the way forward, the Parish Council should contact all the known user groups of the field, requesting their comments on the measures that should have been taken to prevent travellers who access this field. The emergency service access should also be considered, and how access to the field can be obtained in an emergency if the advertised contact number person is not available. It was queried about future provision. However, in most cases, this is an unknown, and while there is an intention to future-proof as much as possible, it may be that this exercise would have to be repeated in a new user group is then identified. I think we should. Anyway, there we go. The point is that we're at we're not coming together anywhere, are we?
I'm suggesting that the Parish Council doesn't need to spend this money. The money can be found by the various disability grants and Robert's, Councillor Hardwick's own community fund. £220 shouldn't be hard to find to improve the access for disabled people.
With all due respect, what we would be relying on 4 people to raise and lower the barrier, and 1,000,001 problems could arise as to why it's not raised or it's not lowered.
Could I just say something, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm quite happy to put things forward into what is the WASP fund, which is £1,000, which is what I have to distribute around 3 parishes. However, that money would not be available until after May 2015, because the WASP fund money is already spent, and it doesn't start again until May 2015. Okay. I think what the bollard in itself is not, appears to me, if we actually read this, there's adequate space either side for a wheelchair user or somebody on a mobility scooter. However, the field, the rough ground or grass can be difficult to manoeuvre. Now, therefore, you could look at the surface beyond the bollards and see whether you can improve that surface for mobility users. But once you've driven onto the field, and then you get out with your mobility scooter, if you're saying that the grass and it's a field. So I think there is a sort of issue here which you could solve, which is to make that actual access onto the field, improve that, and make the surface more suitable for people with mobility scooters.
We already put a lot of hardcore. Yeah. We put a lot already because there's a lot of potholes.
But I mean, just purely either side, so it doesn't. So we are forming like a disabled path past the bollard.
But if you improve the surface to a
better standard,
then.
Do we have a case of anybody actually not being able to? I mean, do we have anybody who's actually disabled that is having a problem with that particular situation?
My father-in-law, who can't access it.
He's in a wheelchair?
No, he has a heart condition. He can only walk a very short distance. So whether he had, I mean, it's a great idea, and it's something that should be looked into in the future about improving the surface, so it's nice and smooth for wheelchairs and vehicles to be able to use. But that wouldn't assist him anyway, because he would still need a carer then to put him in a wheelchair or assist him to walk that 200 metres to the picnic area, or to see my son.
If we actually put some of these, as your suggestion, which is to put some of them, not all of them, but one or two of these picnic tables down by the Kissing Gate area, would that be a better idea? Or
Yeah,
what?
because the people could park at the end and you've got access straight in.
The issue,
And I think it's a bit strange that Mr. Manson's parents drive from his house down into the playground.
Is your father a resident here?
my father-in-law's a resident at Barton on the Neighbourhood. Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't park at my house and then walk. He'd be even further to the children's area. He used to be able to park right next to it.
So he has a habit of driving. He can drive, can he?
Yes, he can drive.
And he drives to the main gate, and then does he? What does he do?
Well, he can't do anything now because of Bollard.
So does he walk, or does he take?
Well, he doesn't use it. He's unable to use it.
Unable to use what? The chair?
Well, he can't use his mobility vehicle to get close to the child's play area because of the Bollard. Another issue that one thing that
your father-in-law, I beg your pardon, has parked his car outside the gate. Has then got a mobility?
No. I'm saying he can't use it because of the Bollard, because he can't park his vehicle near to that community facility because of the Bollard. But the thing is, just another point that just popped into my mind is that if a disabled person was visited any one of us from the village, a relative come to visit us, wanting to see or use that community facility, and they got to the Bollard and saw that they needed to make a phone call to find somebody who'd got a key, a good Whitehead or somebody could come and drop the Bollard, and then he may want to stay there for 3 hours, and during that 3 hours...
But there is a key, sir.
During that 3 hours, Councillor Whitehead or whoever is going to be standing there waiting for him to leave, because it's going to leave the playing field then exposed.
Could I just stop you there? Because Mr. Gibb, who is facing almost that particular entrance, does have a key.
Yes.
And he is not there all the time, I'm sure,
No,
like anybody else is. But the thing is, he works from home, which is interesting, and therefore he would be more likely to be at home than most people would be of his particular age group.
Well,
so
an incident occurred.
has anyone asked Mr. Gibb to lower this barrier for you?
I think something happened recently. Sue was mentioning there was a delay. Was it footballers or something?
Last year.
Last year.
Yes, last year this was where there was a delay, and I had to show this guy where John lives, and John actually wasn't in. Eventually his son obviously realised there was somebody needed knocking at the door, etc.
Has anybody else got a key? Henry. Do you know where Henry is? Down the bottom of Silver Lane.
Just thinking this one out. If it's a disabled toilet, you have a radar key, so you can get in. Now.
Radar key?
That's what it's called. The second key given the same call.
Yes.
On the radar. Can you get a lock which the radar key, which is can be used, which you can use all over the country. So if a disabled comes, he's got his radar key, he can unlock it, get in, and when he comes out, he can lock it back up again.
But just one other point, there is no disabled play equipment in the play area.
So what you're talking about, really, Mr. Langston, is actually having a facility for picnicking, because obviously your father-in-law is a fair old age. I don't suppose he's going to be getting on the swings, is he?
No, he would obviously be sat on the picnic area or on the benches within the child's play area, watching my young son play. He wouldn't be playing on the swings himself.
Yeah. So removing the picnic tables wouldn't be any
Well, he wouldn't be able to view my son playing on the
So you must know when, I mean, just talking about your personal experience, I mean, the thing is that you know when your father's coming, because your father-in-law is coming, and your son is going to be there at the same time. Is it impossible to ask Mr. Gibb to give us a key?
No, I mean, we can probably circumvent the issues because I live in Silver Lane, but anybody else who has a
But in
disability...
another way, would you be happy to pay the £17 for a key?
£17?
That's what it costs.
For a radar key?
No, just for the key for the barrier.
Yeah, well, I suspect they are expensive, yes.
Mm.
So,
because that's what they cost, you see, because you couldn't give the point I'm trying to make is you can't give everybody a key.
yeah, which really, I mean, we managed without a bollard for many years. We didn't really need that bollard, and Ian, Mr. Atherton, he did say that he does mention in this that an impact assessment would ideally been done at the time of the decision the bollard was made.
I think we're going around in circles here. I'll tell you what, the best thing to do is in the parish magazine, I will ask people what they would wish to do in the village and whether they agree with your concept or the parish council's. And let's see if we can get somebody writing in and telling us what they feel. Just as a round robin round here, how do you feel, madam, about, you've heard the issues, do you feel the bollard should be down during the daytime? Or up at night and all the rest of it?
No comment. Oh, good grief! I'd like no comment. I think I'd rather not get involved.
Okay,
I feel that you've obviously considered the matter, and so you've done what you think is right. So I mean, I'm not a resident of Silver Lane, so it doesn't affect me. So I don't think in some respects, I'm qualified to comment on it.
Where do you live?
I live in Wimble Drive.
Okay, right, thank you. How about you two at the back there? What's your opinion? Because that's what I'm trying to get, you know.
You might just step over the fence.
You're going to put a gate there, sir.
The only comment I would make is if you get travellers in there, who then is going to pay the bill this time?
I know Councillor Nixon brought this up at the meeting yesterday in the lane about this, the expense of removing travellers from land, but the reason why that was so expensive to remove those travellers from the open land of Green Lane was because that piece of land wasn't secured in any way. It was open, so they just drove onto it. No criminal damage was involved. Whereas if they couldn't get onto the playing field, even with the bollard down, because they would need to commit criminal damage on either the height barrier where the bollard is, or the height barrier further down the lane. So if they did manage to angle grind their way through it, they would still be turfed off pretty quickly. So this £2,000-3,000,
as we mentioned,
is not
the cost of damage that we do.
It is. It's more than just getting them.
Just say one word: Meriden.
Meriden, yes, quite large site. Mrs. Drimley, do you have an opinion on this?
I think Robert's suggestion actually, because I do know about the radar key for disability toilets. Which
I don't know whether they do it in a lock.
Perhaps we could investigate that. Yes, could we investigate
You mean the lock in the bollard or the lock on the...
Lock on the bollard.
But the lock's inside the bollard?
It goes in, is it?
Yes, it actually goes inside the bollard.
So you remember to use the radar key on that?
But if it makes any odds, I don't think you don't need the key to lock it back up.
No, you can close it back up without the key.
You don't need a key to lock it, you need a key to get in first.
Drop it down.
Yeah. So obviously nobody would be hanging around to close it.
Just pull it back up when you finish.
Just pull it back up.
And you two gentlemen sitting now, not too sure whether you're from Marchington or not.
I am from Marchington. I've only been here 42 years.
Is that all? You're a native.
But I would vote definitely to have the bollard there. I don't think the case has been put forward. I'm a bit unclear in my mind, but it's been suggested that because of the bollard there, someone who's disabled and can't still get through on the side. I just have a feeling that you can still get on even if the bollard's there. That's my feeling. But, you know, it's only that in the discussion, this gentleman sort of made the case that his relative couldn't, you know, get through. But, you know, if someone's being pushed in a wheelchair or if someone's walking, he can walk a short distance. Why can't he just walk across like any of us?
He can't walk that far. He can only walk probably from one end of this room to the other.
I see.
Yeah.
You said?
Anyway,
I'm sorry, I did have you.
No, I just wanted, I'm just sort of clarifying in my own mind that the gentleman concerned could come through the past the bollard,
Side, yes,
but
he can.
when he gets the other side, he's still got to go for a farther distance to the tables. I think that's right. The point has been made.
It's a good 250, 300.
But I'm always a bit wary of people saying, you know, how far people can walk. There's always, you know, there's the can't do things, and people always have to tell you about what they can't do. We want to hear what he can do, and for other people as well.
Okay. And you, sir? What do you feel?
I just found it interesting that Mr. Langston hadn't declared he got a vested interest in opening the gate when he wrote to the Parish Magazine, because he's not speaking on behalf of any villager that I know. He's speaking on behalf of a resident of Barton under Neighbourhood, and maybe some visitors to other people in the village. But I don't know of anybody in the village that is complaining about not being able to get onto the picnic area. I think he had a vested interest.
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
And that's just, Brian, I think this is probably the pertinent point, if I may.
Sure.
Unfortunately, there's quite often a conflict between regulation and advice. A good example of this is section listing building consent, providing reasonable adjustments for disabled persons' access. However, a compromise can often be found, and all parties involved are prepared to discuss the issue and take a little as required. And I think probably, I hear what you're saying. There is no, you're saying that the height barrier, restriction barrier can be adjusted, but is somebody going to guarantee that that is foolproof? We've taken, the Parish Council have taken the advice of an expert from the police, and that's expertise I accept. His expertise is in preventing vehicles, be it vehicles going in there to drive around and damage the surface of the playing field, or it could be travellers entering that field. So that advice was taken, and that advice was taken in good faith by this parish council to protect the villagers, because ultimately when you have to, if the travellers come on the field and they created damage, you have to go through a legal solution to remove them from that field, then that is a cost that is borne by the parishioners of Marchington, and that is money that cannot be spent elsewhere on other things that may be required in the village.
So not, if I can, the point that Paul was making, if I can interrupt, is not just that, it's also the mess they leave behind.
Yeah, no, I was talking about that within the cost.
Within the cost.
Within the cost of things, and you know, it can be quite expensive. So, if the surface that you currently have might disadvantage people, we're not disadvantaging them on access because they're on mobility scooters, wheelchairs, they can get past the bollard. So it isn't a physical restriction preventing them from going on the field. Presumably, access will be compromised because some areas of the field probably are not suitable for mobility scooters and that. But I mean, if you improve that surface, if there seems to be an indication that the surface might have done that, I think the parish council will have gone a good way to.
So you're proposing
but
that
that's
we
the only
improve
first 50 yards of it, isn't it? The rest of it's field.
Yeah, but that is what it is. It's a playing field.
Well, you don't want to be spreading hardcore right down the field, do you?
No, it's basically only just past the bowls. So.
But they've still, to get to the play area, they've still got to access the field. I mean, we did spend quite a lot of money getting hardcore to fill all the holes in previously. we've already spent quite a bit of money filling holes in previously.
Give them an access onto that field.
But I mean, that was just the thing. It was about the surface. But after a certain point, you have to accept that it's a playing field, and you're not going to put the surface is going to be what the surface is. It's going to be a road surface for playing football. There's going to be whatever. But at least if you give people, at least as far as your road is concerned, that into the field is of a suitable surface. I would have thought Parish Council would have done enough.
Well, what about putting some of those, you know, the swing things that we've got down the play area? You know, move them.
That would cost more money than just doing the bit of...
Yeah, but if the issue is... Well, to try and sort of come to a happy medium. If the issue is the picnic tables and sitting at the tables and watching young children play in the park, it just move the tables to where they can stay on the hard road, which is where the double gates are at the end, and there's an area to park there. There's quite a bit.
Would that not be feasible for you to accept that you can, as you quite rightly admit, you can get onto the playing fields with what you're complaining about is the access beyond that. But if we actually put the picnic tables nearer to the access point where you would come with a wheelchair, you're obviously any disabled person will be able to see and oversee their children. Would that be acceptable? I've got to say one thing. I don't think you're going to get rid of the bollard.
We've never suggested getting
rid of the bollard.
No, I know, you
just said that earlier.
All we've suggested.
But I think what we're bothered about is it's there as a double indemnity, not only the top but the bottom, and that's what it's there for. So I don't think we're going to move on that. But if we can actually come to some suggestion where we move the tables a little bit nearer to the access point from Silver Lane and improve a little bit, not a lot, but try to improve the route so far from the gate, would that help?
You're thinking about spending a lot more than £220 to do that kind of work.
Yeah, but we're talking again. We're back to talking about two different things. You're talking about access, and then you're talking about security in the same breath. Now, if you're talking about security, what the Parish Council are saying is that they've done enough for that. So now we're moving on to the other side of the issue, which is your disabled accessibility to these picnic areas. What we're saying is, if we move them nearer to where a wheelchair would possibly be more convenient to ride at, would that suit you?
Well, that would resolve the picnic side of things. The child's,
well, also the overseeing as well. I mean, he can't go into the child's area anyway. So
no, but you used to be able to park right next to it. So
there's a fence there, sir.
You could park right next to the fence, and you could sit.
Sitting in a wheelchair? The fence is up this side.
No, there's a bench outside of the child's play area where you would sit. Not a very comfortable bench.
No, I wouldn't have thought they're very comfortable anyway. But
but inside the church,
I'm trying to find a way to get what you want. At the same time, a lot of money is being spent on this particular situation and trying to solve it. And I'm trying to just find a way that would satisfy you. That's all.
As the suggestion was, just come.
Well, the suggestion is, yeah, we've gone over that, which is to actually get user groups in and see whether they agree with what you're saying. I think the difficulty we have is the fact that I don't think you're going to get very many people who will write in, but I'll try and see how we get on with that. And we'll put that in. I think the best thing to do is to put that in the minutes, and as well as on the chairman's report in the Parish Council magazine. And if people agree with you and it's sufficient, then fine. But you know, it all comes down to us trying to please two factors: security, campers, for want of a better word, and people who were, I think it's about 3 years ago since this happened, but and people coming in at night and becoming a blooming nuisance by riding around on cars in the playing field and then scooting out again. So, you know, you as a person living in Silver Lane, I would have thought would have appreciated that factor.
We do appreciate that the Parish Council wants to prevent travellers getting on there and prevent joyriders, and up until the time that travellers bolt-propped the padlock, the existing solution worked absolutely fine. So if we keep going back to, it's just a matter of securing that height barrier and the problem is resolved.
I'm going to go around the table. I'm going to go around the table and ask people what they think, and I'm just going to put it this simple: yes or no to the barrier. I think that's the best way of putting it. So those who say that they'd like to do what Mr. Langston wants, would you like to put your hand up?
And for that specifically, what is that to?
To do nothing, as far as the barrier is concerned. We're not going to remove it.
Well, my proposal is to spend £220 to secure the height barrier. Residents in Silver Lane are more than happy to lift the barrier at dusk, Bollard, and drop it in the mornings, which would resolve the issues with disability access and football teams, when they arrive and the Bollard's not dropped in time, it resolves that issue and it resolves the travel issue.
I can't speak for the council.
Can't the situation be resolved by purely having another key for the Bollard? So that you being a resident down there can
But they don't need
access
one because there's already residents down there with a key. So when Mr. Langston's father-in-law comes, he knows where to go to get a key to drop the Bollard. We've already established that you just pull it up and it automatically locks. There's no need for another key. There's no need to spend 200 whatever pounds. Because we've done a belt and braces. It's there, it's done. It's not a problem at the moment. It's as we highlighted, you can't take your car across a muddy field, which is what it boils down to.
I'm suggesting that the solution is just another key.
Can I suggest 2 keys?
Yes, surely.
I'm sure the football club can afford £17 to buy its own key.
They've
already got a key. They've already got a key.
So all they've got to do is make sure that somebody gets there early.
That's exactly right.
And secondly, when the barrier's open, what stops the players just then moving the cars onto the field? Nothing.
They do that.
It's just that, well, they don't always. That's one of the issues.
Well, it wouldn't take long to ask them to insist that the players move the car. But I also believe that nobody has the right, not even in wheel drive, to object to somebody parking their car on the road outside your house. You have no right over the frontage.
Nobody objects to that though in Silver Lane.
I understood that they did.
Nobody resents people parking in Silver Lane. What we
Is that right? Yeah. That's not what you told me, madam.
we don't want the people's driveways being blocked, which is the issue.
There's no driveway under playing people's side.
Right. Well,
could I just say, I think the point that's been raised by John is the issue that the Bollard is not dropped soon enough, and if the football club have got a key, they really need to come down earlier and drop that Bollard. Then the other issue is when a visiting team comes, other than the local Bull's Head, that's the issue, because there's nobody seems to be with a key to drop the Bollard for this visiting team.
Okay, well, I've had a word with the chairman of the football club, which is Mr. Morgan, and he tells me that this is happening, that they are coming. I mean, for example, the first match, I think, was on this coming Sunday. Was that the situation, that they were all parking in Silver Lane, or was the barrier down in time?
There was a football team there on Saturday and Sunday this weekend just gone.
Yeah.
I wasn't there Sunday, but I think that was obviously worked well. It was the Saturday one again, that they're a visiting team. I don't know where from.
This is a junior football. It's nothing to do with the Marchington Football Club. And obviously, I did ask Mr. Langston if he would actually have a word with the person who apparently lives in Silver Lane who controls this junior team, because they're the ones who play on Saturday. I think as I said, we're going round in circles.
Can you just say, if the chairman of the football club arranged for the football club to drop the barrier at 9 AM on a Sunday morning?
That I've done.
And ask all the opposing teams and ensure that the opposing teams drive onto the pitch as well. There should be no problem on this as well.
Actually, having monitored it for, I mean, unfortunately, for 3 weeks I've been at football matches, because obviously it's Christmas and New Year. But previous to that, I did go and monitor it, and 80%, more than that, 90% of those vehicles were on the field. but there are one or two who, I don't know, don't want to get their wheels dirty or just get there too early. I think that's possibly your point, actually. I think if they get there early and the barrier isn't down because of the forgetfulness of somebody getting there on time and lowering it, so they obviously lose patience in their cars and park in the lane. So, but I have tried to have a word with the chairman. Well, I have had a word with the chairman. He tells me he's going to do something about it. If this works on Sunday, that's all he can do, because it's Marchington Football Club on Sundays, I think, and juniors, which are this gentleman who's down, which you said, I thought you knew.
Steve, I think it's Steve Shaw. I don't know enough about...
Would it, is it not beyond me to ask you to actually see him living? So
I've not seen him. But...
And make it clear to him that there is a key.
Has he not got a key?
Sorry?
Has he not got a key?
No.
What's the mechanism for using the football pitches?
We've only got agreement with one football club, not half a dozen.
Mm.
So really you need to regularise, if a team is using the pitch as a home ground on a Saturday, you really need to regularise that, and then you bring them in on the key issue.
Sure.
Obviously.
That's an idea. You mean to give them a key?
Well, yeah, if you've got a regularised agreement, if you're saying that you have a regularised agreement with the Marchington Bull FC, then surely if there is another side, which is a Marchington side, a junior side that plays on a regular basis, I don't know what your agreement is with Marchington Bull FC, but if you regularise it on the same grounds as that, and they have a key, and it's up to them to drop the barrier, and the problem's solved.
Excuse me, Chairman, this is not what the meeting that we had.
No, it's true.
We had it about disability access, and you're going to go around the table as to whether we move the bollard or leave the bollard there. And I really think the time that Linda spent on it, that other councils have spent on it, we're just going, as you rightly said, we're going round and round in circles. Let's have a vote as to whether we drop it or move it or whatever, and then move on, because it's taking an awful lot of time. And if you put it in your chairman's report and ask, as is suggested by the gentleman, and leave it at that, and then when we get a response, let's bring it back on the agenda. But at the moment, we're going to go on and on and on. And we're now talking about the football parking and getting involved in who's on Saturday. Sure. You've already spoken to them, and they have always been... Are you suggesting a vote around the table here, or are you leave it until next meeting? Well, I'm suggesting that we put it to bed, one way or the other. We've heard the cases, we've heard the cases for and against. You know, we as the parish council took that decision. There has been objections against it. Has that changed anybody's mind? Let's have a vote. Okay. And then put it to bed. The parking and the football is a completely different issue to what myself and Linda had a meeting about. And what I'm concerned about, we're spending more and more time. We've spent nearly 3/4 of an hour talking about this, and we're not even halfway through the agenda yet. Right. Let's do that and see how we get on. Are you retaining the bollard where it is?
As I see it, the bollard and the barrier stays, but I do feel that there's a ground to improve the area around the bollard, so if there is uneven, it makes it easier for disabled to get onto the playing field.
The problem is, that won't last very long because the cars drive over it.
Well, we've put enough stone down, haven't we?
I think we should maintain the bollard, but have another key in some way.
Stan's got one as well.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. I know I can't really put you into this one because you're not on the parish council.
There's 2 keys in Silver Lane now. If the residents of Silver Lane can't...
3 if you can, Henry, 2.
Well, yeah, it was just 3 keys, all within a very short walking distance.
Hang on, 3 keys, where are these?
Henry,
Gibbs got one.
Stan Maxwell.
Stan Maxwell, he doesn't live in Silverlane.
Right on the edge of the plane.
So he lives with Brian?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
He's the one that opens the gate in the morning and opens it.
These are the two who don't quite agree with each other. Is that more to the point?
Right.
That's why I thought they lived separately. Okay.
So there's 3 keys in Silverlane within walking distance of the Bollard.
I see. So are you aware that Mr. Maxwell has a key?
I understood that he'd given it away to one of the football teams, but I really can't say for sure if he's still got one. Stan goes out to work during the day, so...
Well, Mr. Langston, in fairness, you're making a lot of noise about inaccessibility, but you don't even know who has the keys. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I know Gibbs has got a key, and I know Henry's got a key, and I know Gordon's got a key.
And you did know that Ryan...
Stan,
had
I believe he used to have a key,
well, he doesn't.
He is the person responsible for the key.
He still has it, does he?
I don't know whether it's still in his possession, but he is the person the key was given to, and is noted as the person responsible for that particular key.
See, the thing is that there's no... I understand where you're coming from, and you've got a resident who's partly agreeing with you about lowering and upping the Bollard. But there's no guarantee that anyone's going to do that. And the thing is that we don't want to have somebody who may be or may forget or whatever it is, and the Bollard stays down instead of up.
But the thing is, it would be a better situation than there is now, you see.
So I don't see that. So all I can suggest to you is that we look at the next meeting when it comes to dealing with the process of keys. Not prepared to pay for one, maybe that might be an idea, but you'd have to make sure and guarantee that you're going to sign for it.
Carry on with the...
Yes, Richard. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd say leave the Bollard alone. We don't have a problem because we've got belt and braces.
Yeah.
There's access. We've agreed there's 3 keys in Silverlane. So anybody that required disability access has got it. Football and that is a different issue altogether to what that meeting was about. And I said, yes, we now put it to bed once we took a vote.
Okay, so you're saying...
regarding the disability, leave it as is.
As is,
we
right.
don't need to spend any more money.
Richard?
Keep the Bollard, but possibly the management of the keys ones.
What's looking at? Yeah,
see what response you get from your
okay.
the chairman's report.
So I'm afraid that still comes back to the next meeting.
Yeah,
okay, so what we're going to propose is that we have the next meeting, we'll come up with some proposals and see what we can do, which will come halfway between what you want and what the parish council wants. You've got to remember that at the end of the day, it's the parish council who are the trustees, basically, of those playing fields. And anything that goes wrong there comes back to us. Not you, us. So the thing is that what we need to do is to make sure that whatever happens is that we're not put in a position where we have I'm not even going to go over what might happen there, but the thing is that we want to make sure that those assets are kept as clean and concise and proper as they can. And we take quite a lot of trouble over it, as you can see. You don't agree with it, we're trying to do the best we can.
It's 10 to 10.
So
we need to move on.
Yes, well I have, as far as I'm concerned, moved on. I hope that we'll have to come back to the next meeting on that one.
Forestside Footpaths, which was new business last. We had a text, remember, from a resident at Forestside, and you asked me to contact Andrew Griffiths about the footpaths at Forestside. Right. This is what I did. He asked for the previous correspondence that we had, which is what I've sent to him. Right. So we're waiting for him to come back to us on anything, if there is anything that he can do.
Okay. And we've not heard from him?
No, I sent that on the 8th of January, so he's obviously reading all the correspondence.
Yeah, I should think he's got enough to do with that.
These are the footpaths which were reverted to the Crown around the Forestside estate.
Yeah. And unfortunately nobody wants to take responsibility.
Because of the condition of them. Okay?
Okay.
So that's with Andrew's office.
Right. And that concludes, I hope, everything. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
We've only got planning.
Planning now.
Right, the first one is to do with the erection of a single-storey re-extension at 62 Jacks Lane. This is the semi-detached houses at the bottom going towards the Topseter Road. Would you like to look at those? Actually, it's just at the end of the day, it's just a flat roof extension. I often think it's a pity that people have flat roofs because it costs them quite a bit of money at the end. But the thing is that that's what they want. So have a look at that if you wouldn't mind.
You couldn't see it off the road anyway.
No. They're taking away a conservatory, as you quite rightly say, and putting back basically a kitchen.
I think Gordon wanted to express his concerns about the fact that it was a flat roof and he thought it should be sloped, tiled. Yes.
Well,
can I make a comment to you? We see where we preferred it if it was a fixed roof.
Tiled fixed roof, yeah. Well, I agree with that.
An hipped roof. An hipped roof.
Pardon?
Hipped roof.
Hipped.
I think we need to look at it because it's just underneath some windows. So.
Yeah. So that's the constraint. That's the constraint.
It's not totally actually. They dropped the actual sort of from the window down when they tiled it. There's enough there to make a slope. But
not a lot. Not a lot.
It's not up to us to determine.
No, I think it's split. No, come on.
It won't work because of the out of the windows.
No.
The hipped roof.
So then you say no comment.
They're always a problem. 10 years down the line, they're going to cost you another £1,000. Anyway, so no comment on that one. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This next one is the conversion of. Do you want to go out of the room on this one? Because it's to do with the blacksmith.
Yeah.
Well, it's only to say that we've asked for the planning committee meetings on Monday.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to attend, there's nothing to discuss on.
There isn't anything to discuss, but the point is that they haven't altered the plan as we got commented on. They're still doing 3 linked detached dwellings. It says there.
Well, unless
a terrace of 3 dwellings.
Unless you want to go along to the planning committee meeting, then.
No, because we've made our comments. But if they're not taking any notice, if the person putting the plan in is not taking any notice of what we're saying, we'll have to see what the planning committee says.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's not worth Robert leaving it.
No problem. It's as previous, but they're not taking notice of the comment that it's overdeveloped.
It's just to say that that's. So you don't really need it.
Yeah.
These are
permitted. So these ones are permitted, which is the your interest was in the former barn, which is now to be converted to a 1-bedroomed bungalow style house.
That you were talking about.
And this has been given prior approval for the conversion of an agricultural building to form a dwelling. Yeah.
You can't put a satellite dish on it.
No. Was that the only? There was another exclusion, but it wasn't.
You can't put extra windows in.
No. No. So that's that one. We're done. And the other one is Lower Brookhouse Farm, Birch Cross, which is had permission to erect a single-storey rear extension, an open front porch, and an enclosed side porch. Does anyone want to look at a permitted? Well, I shouldn't think so because it's passed. So then we go on to expenses. No, we don't. We correspondence. Another box. It's just like Parliament, isn't it?
Right. This was just the one asking about from the village hall committee, saying that if Jeannie isn't elected, so.
Yeah, do you want to read this bit out?
No, well, you can.
I gather that Jenny Crowe, currently Parish Council's representative on our Committee of Trustees, will not be standing for re-election. So in this situation, we'd like the Council to put forward a representative in her place, please. We realise that Andrew Mann is at Council also, but is currently representing the Tennis and Bowls Club, and it is sometimes difficult to wear two hats.
That isn't correct. I'm not on the Parish Council as a representative of the Tennis and Bowls Club.
Surely this has got to be put to one side until after the election.
It's all irrelevant anyway, because I'm not...
And then do an election and see whether they'll take it up.
Well, the lady gave it to me, I read it out. Thank you. The other point is a bit of a joke, really. Here we are in doing a neighbourhood plan, which depends on a local plan, and here we have East Staffs Borough Council writing to us, asking about our conservation area appraisal consultation. I've suggested to Linda that we write back and say that at the moment we're a little bit too busy with plans without going into conservation.
But the appraisal would be done by the borough council.
Yeah.
It will just be for you to comment.
No, they're asking us to consult on various things. One of them is Marchington. But
there's nothing we can do.
There's nothing we can do at the moment, so we're writing back to him to say we have other purposes, things to do. Correct.
The appraisal will be done by the borough council, not by
No,
yourself.
I didn't think we would. I think we just acknowledged it anyway, haven't we? So there's nothing we can do about that at the moment. And they're not ready anyway to submit.
Well, actually, he says he wants to meet with us.
Well, that would be a good thing.
I would like to offer to meet with... Yeah, well, no problem with that. We've got the time to do it. I would like to offer to meet with Parish Council to talk about conservation area appraisals, and he's asked us to see it at some stage. That's what
but when I emailed him back and said that the consultation, but the relevant appraisal wasn't with the letter, he said he thought he would release the letter early, so it gives parish councils plenty of notice to fit him in should they want him to attend any parish council meetings over the next couple of months. So if you want him to come to your parish council meeting next month, then that's fine.
Okay. Well, I got that wrong clearly, so we'll write to him and suggest he comes to our meeting later in the year. It'll suit him. Okay.
Okay.
It's being filmed.
I'll send him a list of our dates.
Yes, if you give him, you know.
Yeah. That's the one at Lower Brook House. The order has now been passed to change the footpath.
Okay. Didn't somebody walk this or something?
Yes, we had someone walk it, and obviously they've taken into account that person's recommendations, and they've agreed for the alterations. So instead of it going through Lower Brook House, it'll go around the back of it.
And that's been agreed.
Yeah.
That's
Is that an official path now?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it will.
No, I know where it goes.
Yeah, it will be released. He has to build a bridge over the stream. It's part of it, but yeah.
Anything else here that we...
yes, it's an email from Staffordshire County Council regarding super fast broadband. And this is also a request for this lady, Katerina Manigold, to come to the parish meeting to tell you about it, more about the broadband. And they've got leaflets and posters that they would like us to distribute.
Is everybody satisfied with their broadband, but incidentally?
Probably not the people in the woodlands, but ours has improved, certainly. But I think it would be a good idea for it to come on, actually.
Yeah.
And inform people, yeah, because it's a red hot topic.
Super fast broadband, right, okay. We'll ask them to come along and see us, again, give them the dates.
Could I suggest, because I've spoken to one or two people on the woodlands, and obviously the super fast broadband being put into the villages, but obviously it is not planned onto the woodlands. I think what people are concerned about on the woodlands is, are they going to get a lesser service when superfast broadband comes through the villages? What is their level of speed on will it affect that?
Do you mean worse than they've got already?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, it's bad. And I think there is a major issue there. There's a lot of people on the woodlands, so quite a lot of farm businesses and people that work from home and things like that. And it shouldn't be somewhere that we're allowed to be overlooked. And certainly what we need to know is that putting superfast into the villages isn't going to do anything to disadvantage them any more than they currently are. But what we would like to do is to improve the level of broadband, the speed of broadband on the woodlands for those residents. So I have a suspicion that she'll just want to
give us some nice
plug broadband for the villages, but it might be worth writing back to her and say there's a broader discussion
onto the faster one.
Okay, so we'd like to say that we'd like to discuss the woodlands part of the parish.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Mr. Blair, I think
Can I just make one point?
Yes, sir.
In the woodlands, almost every house is a business.
Yeah.
Almost every house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost everybody's a farmer, a contractor, whatever it happens, people working from home. Almost everybody is in some way in a business and using broadband to earn their living.
So do you know the speed they get up there at the moment?
I know exactly what I get.
Go on, tell me.
On a good day, 5.2.
On a bad day. On a bad day? Oh, I see. You're drooling.
Come on, you know you can do it.
I have to say that...
No, 5.2 is marvellous compared with what we remember.
Yes, right. I have to say that it is still a little bit up and down. I live in Jack's Lane, which is almost the nearest point to the box. And
You're only 100 yards away from the box, aren't you?
And it still goes up and down.
What do you get?
6.
How
How
can you get high speed out of a pipe?
No, you have to pay for it. If you want super high speed from that box, you have to pay an extra amount of money, which I didn't mean the type that I am. I won't. So the thing is that you can...
Well, that's going to come out of the same pipe, isn't it? Always?
Yeah. They want another 15 quid a month, and I don't, no way. And then I can get a film quicker than I had before. So, not that I do go down films.
But are the people who are now getting, for the sake of argument, 5, once high-speed broadband goes to the village, what's going to happen to our speed?
Yeah, that's what we just
asking.
Well, that's the question we need the answer.
It is, yeah. So what we really want is for you to have superfast broadband.
In our dreams.
Yeah. It doesn't detract from the fact that we're going to ask them about the woodlands and the process that you've just raised.
Yeah.
With
It's about them not being disadvantaged, i.e. that when they switch over that you're not disadvantaged. But what we'd like to do is to see you advantaged and get...
Well, we don't use broadband.
Can I make a suggestion?
We're not downloading films.
If you're in Uttoxeter,
pardon?
If you're in Uttoxeter at the moment and you go up to Carter Square, there's a van there today trying to sell broadband, BT broadband. Go and talk to them.
Well, they're our supplier and they're very familiar with me.
But every time I come down, they stop trying to ask me who I'm with, and I just keep on walking. About 3 chaps there.
What have we got now?
Payments.
Right. Just to go over the payment of accounts, we've had invoices and money paid out. We've paid Clive People, who was doing the Neighbourhood Plan work, and he was paid £1,026, 80p.
Which is refundable from
Which is refundable from the grant. It's not a direct, it doesn't come out of your parish. Well, you've got them there, good. East Staffordshire Borough Council trade bills charge us £68.90. Yes, you do have to buy out and remove. Our handyman, who is Hall, is paid £188. Jane Hilton, repayment for costs of trees in the community orchard. This is a delightful lady who actually has only been in the village about 18 months, and she took on herself to go to Asda, got some nice young saplings, which are all cherry trees or apple trees, which blossom out lovely, and she planted, how many was it?
12.
12. And she got all her friends around her, I did take a picture of the lady, and it has appeared in the local press.
Should we send to it sort of?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah. Parish council.
Yeah, if we don't go with the money, I think she should vote. No, I think we should. We've got to send her a cheque anyway. We've got Linda Hopcroft with a separate invoice, which is salary and neighbourhood plan work, which is to do with the total coming. Sorry, well, hang on, I'm lost here. What is this? Where's that coming from?
That's with these as well.
Oh, it's
the two.
That plus that.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's two costs here: salary and then a neighbourhood plan work. The first charge is £679.30p. And the neighbourhood plan work is £707.65, is that correct? No.
The salary and neighbourhood plan work is £679.30.
Right.
And the travel and office expenses is £28.35.
So I asked the
making a
question
total of £707.
Oh, I see, that's what it's supposed to be, not two separate points. Okay,
I wish you paid me that much.
Okay, yeah, I can understand that, but sadly no, and take no notice of what I just said. Anyway, HM Revenue and Customs is £93.20, which of course is the money they're charging for tax on
my salary.
On your salary.
Which I pay.
Which you pay. The total cost is £2,114.13, and prior to that money being taken out, the money in the bank at the Parish Council was £42,609.49p. Anyone got any comments? No? Good, let's move on.
Anybody else who can sign?
I can sign it if you want. Can you sign it?
No.
No.
With the...
Sorry, yeah. Okay, so I think that just about brings us to the end of this meeting, hopefully. No, gosh. There you go.
We do have new business.
Oh, it's so exciting, isn't it? Gosh, new business. What could it be?
The rules for video recording at the meeting that you wanted me
Yes,
to
it's
draw up.
possibly be an initiative, Mr. Langston, sir, because we've now produced a guidance for members of the public and councillors regarding recording at council meetings. Do we have a copy to give this gentleman, or is it just to keep in here?
Well, it has to be adopted before it
Okay.
goes anywhere.
That's fair enough.
I can send it out.
If you'd like to send it out to all councillors, if you can all say yes or no to it, and then we'll send a copy to Mr. Langston. That's the easiest way to do it. Do you agree?
Well, it will go on the website.
Okay.
And Mr. Lance can have a copy, of course.
Yes, I don't see why not. So that's that side of it. Okay.
Oh yes, it's about the Wicker Gate, the other side of the bridge, which technically belongs to...
We're talking about going from the farm onto the
footpaths 46 and 47, which goes over to Butler's farm from the field. The sheep damaged it, and earlier on in a meeting we agreed. We suggested that Mr. Butler that we would pay for a new gate, and he's asking if that still stands.
Does anyone have any objection to retain?
No, we agreed last time.
So in that case, do we take it as we're agreed to give Mr. Butler his gate, but make it remember it's a one-off thing.
Absolutely.
We're not doing it all the time, so we need to write to say we're not taking responsibility for any more further damage.
And I brought along the newspaper articles, which have been one which you've already seen, which is the one for the community orchard, and the other one regarding the entry in the Uttoxeter News about the solar park, which...
it's referred to secret meetings with energy firms.
When they first printed it, they didn't tell us they were referring to the one in 2010. We assumed they were talking about the Moisty Lane one. and after a lot of emails going backwards and forwards, they've actually agreed to retract it in next week's newspaper.
It will not be as large as that. It's very small.
It was lies in actual fact, so they have agreed to retract it, but they probably won't, as Brian said, do any more than put a very small piece in the paper.
That's it.
All right?
Yep.
That's it. Anyone else?
So just running round, no new business?
Yes, please, two matters. One is the grip bins that were so useful from Boxing Day onwards for the locals to DIY their local roads to enable them to travel up and down. I would request that the grip bins are replenished as soon as possible. The one outside the village hall here is empty. Others were well used. During that period we did not see much evidence of
gritting.
No, apart from council workers on a flatbed came up and threw a bit out one day, but most of it was DIY. The second item is a street light which has gone out in Hall Lane, actually opposite outside the Lady Jane you referred to, the Poplars. That is a very dark alley now. If you walk up there in the dark with these large new properties that are under construction, it's a black hole, and with the street light out, it needs putting.
So we need.
Is it ESPC for street lights?
It's ESPC.
I think so. I'll do it anyway.
Is that correct?
So
lighting.
It's the one outside the Poplars in Hall Lane.
Is that an ESPC problem? Or is Staffordshire County?
I don't know why the borough council have, though probably inherit or kept responsibility for some streetlights. I would imagine if they had them put outside council properties. So those are. I'd start with the county council.
It's one in the general road. It's not in a property.
Yeah, I know, but there's some anomalies. I would go to the county council in the first instance, let them tell you it isn't theirs.
Quick way of doing things. Yeah. Right, so well, we're writing about the grip bins, which does go to the SPC, I think.
No, it doesn't. It's county council.
It's county council.
Could I just make a comment on that? Because I was out rescuing cars on Boxing Night. I went for a walk down the pub to celebrate my birthday, and there was all these cars, and we ended up pushing them, and we didn't see a gritter, and in fact people in Draycote saw that there was a bit of clear road in Marchington, and it appears that the only area, Jack's Lane was the only area that was a gritted. I mean, I can't say that for sure because I didn't watch them go. But what was interesting was I did do a little bit of research, and in 2010 Mike Marion did his winter thing. This winter's coming on, and we've serviced, and all our gritters, 60 gritters, have been serviced. I did see Mark DeVille's equivalent just before Christmas, our fleet of 40 gritters. So there's quite clearly is a drop in the number of gritters that are available.
That's a surprise.
There's no gritting done in Toxteth at all.
Yeah, and also, well, of course, the grit depot is closed in Toxteth now. And I think probably they would have to come out from Lichfield, I think.
Yeah, they do.
But I thought they're supposed to grit bus routes.
Well, I don't know.
On a bus route and never been gritted.
But I also note in the paper that they are looking at potentially putting another £400,000 worth out of the gritting budget. So
skidoo.
Yeah. So it's all down to DIY.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the point in Draycote Parish Council meeting. I said, well, there are no grit bins on Draycote Cliff. And I said, well, you know, if you're not going to grit it, please give us the means to self-help and give us some grit bins, and we'll throw it on ourselves. I mean, I think to be fair to the county council on the Boxing Day, the actual snow came in straight on the back of rain. And, you know, it's pointless gritting before it rains, but it would have been nice to see a slow plough at least sort of reducing the volume of snow on the road. But hey ho, we'll wait and see.
Is it worth an email to Councillor Atkins?
John would like to say something.
Yeah, I observed. I went down to Lichfield on the Sunday, and the road seemed to be gritted as far as the Golden Cup at the Oxhall.
Well, I came along that road during that snow, It was a bit hellish all the way, to be honest, because I came back at 6 o'clock on Boxing Day from Birmingham, and it wasn't very pleasant, and it was not helped by people going along on 4x4s at 15 miles an hour, and I kid you not, and it was on snow, not ice. And as you know, fresh snow is not a problem. It's hard to skid on it.
Did you have to take them?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, mad Harry, doing 30 miles an hour.
If we don't move on, they've promised it for tonight and we'll get caught in.
That's right, okay.
Could I just take a thing? Utopsy Leisure Centre is going to reopen on Saturday, and that is at welcome speeches at 10:15 and will be officially opened at 10:30. So everybody that's been missing the swimming pool and indoor facilities, well, everybody come down and have a look. It's a very nice facility now.
I don't mind actually.
So are there-
Is it open? It's good.
It's good.
Yeah. Are you pleased with it?
I'm quite pleased with it.
Yeah.
I don't like the goldfish bowl in the gymnasium.
That'll be all men and no women.
Can I just bring one little point about gritting? We've got our own bins in the woodlands. If you could mention that, you know, after snow, when the grit's been used, if the bins could be refilled, that would be quite good. Because the bins by themselves are great, you know.
Right.
Grit is more useful.
Yeah, grit's great too. I mean, they aren't empty, but I don't know how you get them filled up again.
Through council highways.
Little lorry comes from Lichfield on a little truck and he shovels it off, and then you say, well, what about the other? Oh, we've got to go back to Lichfield.
Okay, they try their best, as they say. Okay, right. Have you...
Paul?
Yeah. Paul?
New business?
I do have some news, but I'm quite happy to leave it till the next week because I feel it'll take rather a long time to discuss.
Yeah, I think it's a big good idea to leave
it. It's all to do with prosecutions that the council is doing regarding villages and their scrap, and it just seems to be getting out of hand.
Could you
in other
ask
parts.
Linda to put that on the agenda for next meeting?
Yeah, okay.
Would that be the best way of handling it?
About other, you know, just moving out of the woodlands into...
Right, that is...
Richard?
That's it, yeah, I'll wait till next
I was going to mention the grit bins being reduced at one. Was there something you noticed about the sign? Windmill Drive?
Yes, the posts holding the Windmill Drive sign, they're 40 years old and they're beginning to shake, they're beginning to wobble. In an ideal world, it would be great if they could be replaced. Yes.
Is that something the neighbourhood team can do?
No, statutory council.
Something as simple as...
We'll ask the question, can't we? The one as you're going into Windmill Drive on the
one
right.
that faces you.
On the right?
On the right, one on the right.
Yeah.
The other one's all right.
Okay.
Well, I should be able to see which one is wrong,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
I haven't got anything to say now. I've said enough today, I think. What's this about? We're not bothering about this. No, we've done that. Okay.
You can close the meeting.
I think we can close the meeting. I jolly well hope so. What's the time up there? 10:15.
Hello.
Sorry.
Could you just chivvy on highways, please, to side up and trim the Silver Lane hedge?
That's the 19.
I did.
You said November you'd told them that's...
Yes, and I have contacted them since, and they have it on their job sheet, so it's when they're in the area that they will do it.
Well, I'm tired of getting my car scratched, particularly turning right out of the lane.
Right, okay.
Really serious.
I'll go back to them and ask them again.
Thank you.
Do that.
Right, can I close the meeting now? Everybody happy? Good. Right, as I close this meeting at 10:15, thank you all for coming and joining in the conversation. It's been very nice to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hilarious. I think I used